I will call the meeting to order on September 6th at 7:01. We have a full commission, so there's no need to appoint any alternates. If you want to read the call. I don't think I have.
Here, I got it. Dear Matt, please publish the following public notice for one insertion on Monday, August 29, 2022. Town of Groton notice of public hearing, Historic District Commission. The Historic District Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, September 6, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Groton Town Hall Annex, 134 Groton Long Point Road, and virtually via the Zoom platform to hear the following applications requesting a certificate of appropriateness. HDC 22-49, 245 High Street, Leslie Sandin, owner, Samaran Shretha, applicant, PV Solar System, PIN number 2619183210028. HCC 22-52 Eldridge Street, John and Carolyn Crowley, owners, Creative Enclosures, applicant, replace windows, PIN number 2619184253991. HCC 22-51 3 Pearl Street Capital Limited Liability Company, owner, Judd Bertman, applicant, front and rear decks, PIN number 2619183170086. HTC 22-52 9 West Mystic Avenue, Peter Edwards, owner, Vision Solar LLC, applicant, PV Solar System, PIN number 2619805292514. HCC 22-53 17 Gravel Street, Jennifer Grace, owner, William Birchie, applicant, modify COA number 2377, PIN number 2619184115777. A Zoom meeting link will be posted to the town's website meetings calendar or can be attended by visiting www.zoom.us. Webinar ID 872-525-17199. Password 938-644 or by phone 13126266799. Applications are on file and available for public inspection during normal business hours at the Planning Department, 134 Groton Long Point Road, Groton, Connecticut. Dated this 29th day of August, 2022 at Groton, Connecticut. Todd Brady, Secretary.
Thank you. I should have done this before I actually read the call, but I move to waive the reading of the hearing procedures.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll do, oh. Linda's on Zoom, right? So I have to do a roll call. Levinson.
Aye.
Brady.
Aye.
Moriarty. Aye. Goodman.
Aye.
Bonnie.
Aye.
The reading of the hearing procedures are waived. If anybody wants to read them, they're that yellow piece of paper over there. All right. HTC 22-40, 52 Pearl Street. Mr. and Mrs. Young.
Good evening. I've got 5 copies. It's what I submitted last time, but I thought maybe I could pass them out. Thank you. So I first appeared a few weeks ago, over a month actually, and I need to keep that for reference if that's okay. And oh, super. And so we had a large maple tree in this planter that came down, and when removing the stump, it took the walk up next to the house, and not being familiar with the guidelines on driveways where the regs read driveways 11 feet and narrower are not under the review of the commission. We made it wider. You can see here, and part of the reasons why we made it wider were the existence of these granite stones. These have not been moved, and they were quite wide. I have a measurement with me, but also the town curb cut. So this went into a lot of discussion at our last meeting, and I can't say that the driveway used to be that wide, but what I can say is we've owned the home for only 14 years or so, and I don't know the history of that, but these granite look like fence posts. You can see here are existing and look quite dated, original with the house is my assumption, and you can see them on this side. So we had an existing bed to our neighbors at 50 Pearl Street. We kept an existing bed against the house. We then have a bluestone walk there with a granite border, cobblestone granite border. Then we did oil portland stone on the for the driveway material. So my big thought, I believe the commission was going to maybe do some research on this, but my interpretations as an architect of the regs said that 11 feet and under in width are not under the review of the commission. And that to me was different from it reading driveways 11 feet and over are prohibited. So obviously, now that the driveway's widened, we're hoping that we'll be able to leave it, not to touch on zoning issues, but it certainly helps us with parking. It was very thin before with the shrubs and kids and everything else, and now it's much more generous. If we're very, very careful, we can fit the cars left to right, side by side. You can see a truck here for scale. That's not quite in the middle, but we could. But just every day, for everyday usage, it would give us a lot more room, usable room in the house compared to the way it was. Behind this light post, you can barely see the stump of the maple tree there. So once that tree came out and that wall came with it, then we decided to redo the driveway, which was in quite dilapidated. Unrelated, I personally have an application near completion for the exterior of the home, including siding and windows. So that will be this fall.
What is the width of the driveway currently?
Right now, it's just under 19 feet from between the yeah, so here was a tape measure here, and it's just like 18 foot 10.
And that's from where to where?
So if you can maybe look at this drawing with me, that was from the, let me make sure I got this right here. That was don't have that
Well, there's a stone right there at 19 feet. It's in your photograph.
correct, and it looks like the same color as this stone, and I believe it was one of these two stones on the angle. So I certainly didn't want it to appear wider than for the application. So tells me it's from inside of this I repurposed these granite curbs that are here on the right side of the driveway from there to the cobblestone. You can see the curb cuts here begin in front of our neighbor's home at 52 and becomes flat right at that first granite post base. And same thing here, it starts at the next granite post base and goes up in front of our front yard there. So the curb cut existing, I don't know the data, that's quite wide. So I can't say with any confidence what width the driveway used to be. I can only say the confidence of those existing post bases and the curb cut on the street.
I just got a question.
No, I have a comment. I just think that we really need to stop letting people that don't come forward with applications just do things that go afterwards. I think it's going to be very detrimental to the HDC. So I don't think it looks terrible, but I just don't think we should approve it just because it was already done. I think that we have these guidelines for a reason, and I'm not for approving it.
That was the comment at the end of our initial submission, and the commission wanted time to discuss. And that night, I unfortunately was part of 2 or 3 other applicants that had asked for forgiveness as opposed to permission. I'm embarrassed as an architect. I did know it regulated the width of driveways. My question in focusing on the district is, would this plan for bed that was there originally and the reduced width of the driveway make, was that what was there in 1852, and B, would that make the district less historic if that was gone. That's the question yes.
So I have a question for you. Can you tell me when the work was done? What day of the week?
The driveway work. Yeah, that was done, that was done on a Sunday. The gentleman told me that, the driveway contractor was someone in this region I've never worked with, and he gave me a range of time and basically called me for the address when he was like 10 minutes out. Yeah,
So I'm gonna make a comment. I'm gonna agree with Bonnie. I'm an alternate, but I would think we should request that it be put back. We've had people tear buildings down here before that have got certificates of appropriateness and then violated them. We're fighting a boutique hotel owner $200 a day for zoning issues, and I think to let this go just sends a bad message. I believe second what Bonnie says.
Well, I mean, I disagree with both of you in the sense of regardless of whether the work's been done or not, you have to take every application on our merits of whether it meets the criteria of the Historic District Commission. I mean, people do things without permits all the time. Thinking of building, people do electrical work without pulling a permit because they don't know. I don't think you can punish people for that. Base the application on its merits, and if it doesn't meet it, vote no. If it does, vote yes. I mean, it's just the position
Thank you.
people are in. That's my opinion, but that's just the way I think that it should be.
I just think it makes it look arbitrary how we apply our standards, and that's my opinion.
I don't think basing something on the merits is arbitrary.
Yeah, I don't think we're here to be enforcers like sheriffs or marshals, quite honestly. And if people misbehave, it's unfortunate, but I don't think that condemns them to, not getting approval because they did something in advance of when they should have done it. I don't think that's a criteria for the Historic District Commission to start applying.
Our handbook allows us to apply to actually print it out.
Pardon me?
Our handbook allows us to apply to actually print it out.
Oh, it allows us to do that, but it doesn't mandate that we do it.
No, but then what are we here for? We're just
Well,
hanging out.
in addition to the
You don't necessarily have to approve something that was done in advance. You still look at it on the merits, I think, John. That's all.
I think that based on the merits, that it is an extremely wide driveway. And I don't think that it's really appropriate for the neighborhood on the merits of the driveway itself.
How wide is it?
Yes, 1810. Both my neighbors at 50 Pearl Street, you can see in this drawing, and my neighbors at 54 Pearl Street. The driveways are quite wide and much wider than 11. However, they're not that wide at the street.
Just a picture of.
Sure. Sure. So this is 50 Pearl Street. That's a 3-car garage. This is 54 Pearl. This widens here for access, 2-car access into the garage. We don't have our driveway stops here at the rear of the home. There's a fence here. It does not go back to a detached garage structure. It's just lawn there. So, we as someone who's sensitive to the district and bought this home in the district because of its charm and the district's charm, I feel like, I feel like it doesn't detract from, we haven't planted shrubs. I've left it in this state since the installation of it for this reason that I did not know to apply ahead of time, but for me, it's about the integrity of the district and we have a much smaller driveway than a lot of our neighbors. And again, I would just ask the commission to tell me if they think their interpretation of the driveway is of their interpretation of the guidelines says that driveways 11 feet and wider are prohibited. I know.
So just to be clear, Eric wanted to point out to you earlier that they're not prohibited. Anything over 11 feet just needs our permission.
I understand.
Anything
Okay,
under 11 feet, you can do whatever you want.
great. Okay,
So they are permitted. They just
Good.
require HDC approval.
good.
Question, because we have a parking area. They go
So
on.
what's the difference between a driveway?
I would be happy if the wide part was in the back, a narrow approach like it had been, and you could have done as wide as you want in the backyard.
I just have a question for staff. Do you know, like this curb cut Does that generally indicate over historical times that that was the width of a driveway, or what's the relationship between the fact that this? I'm kind of influenced because the curb cut fits what he did, and I'm wondering if that's really that relevant or not.
You want granite?
No.
No, the curb cut itself,
Concrete.
the concrete on the street.
Oh, the curb cut itself, that's public, no, the public works. The picture of it. It's not needed though or anything, so it
It's not.
could have just been. A million reasons why I couldn't.
Right. So-
There's no simple answer there. But to the point of even someone standing out there and being like, do it this way.
Right.
The sidewalk drops there, sidewalk. comes
So the
up.
sidewalk starts to drop here in front of 50 Pearl Street. It stops to drop right around the property line. And again, starts at 0 at the granite post and begins to go up in front of our front yard. So those granite posts and those curb cuts were the decision. That's what drove the width of the driveway. I was trying to base it on two.
Right, nobody could find any historic pictures of this house and see if it was a wide driveway there one time. Yeah, so I kind of agree with John and Bob, and I also agree with Sarah, but I think it would impact my decision if you could get some photos that were historic and also measure some of the neighbor driveways. If they're all 17 feet or 18 feet or 16 feet, then I mean, I'm okay with the materials personally. I think it looks nice.
Yeah, the
Like, I
materials
see
are
their
lovely.
point. Yeah, I see their point about the size, so I think, you know, if you can make the case, I wouldn't have an objection.
Okay.
At this
There's
point, though, I tend to agree with them.
And if I couldn't find those photos, I guess I would question where I tried to base the width on what I found, two things that I found there that were existing and historic. The granite posts were presumably very old and the concrete curb cut whenever the sidewalk was paved. So I tried to base it off of that. If I cannot find historic photos, then I would love to figure something to base the width of the driveway on.
You go to the Institute Historic Society or the Roosevelt Collection support, you're guaranteed to find that.
Okay.
So you'll find them. But if you can also go around and just survey the neighbors, and if it's consistent with the sizes, consistent with the neighboring driveways, then forget the historic photos of mine.
Right.
It's
Probably not
not,
wanting.
it's
not
not
wanting to-
consistent with the neighbors. There's one house on Pearl Street that's down in the next block down that has it, and it's way down, but past Cliff Street. And it has really strange stone pavers in the driveway. And there's like multiple cars, like almost 2 or 3 wide width. And it starts to look like the church parking lot with the cars parked in there. And I think the intent is to have like a single width driveway at the entrance and then allow a bigger parking area in the back of the thing or wider at the end. But
So here's 56 Pearl, double width driveway, 2 doors down, they're on the water. Here's 54 Pearl, you can't see because of this walnut tree, but it gets wide in front of there, 2.5 car garage. Here's 50 Pearl, that's about 30 something feet wide in front of their 3-car garage.
but
So-
not at the street.
Back. the issues in the
Okay,
street.
okay, here, I understand. Here's, so,
And
So
that was
what-
widened when they renovated that house. That wasn't always that wide.
presumably they went to HTC.
I don't know.
Okay.
I wasn't on it then.
So I have no problem with your driveway. I think your driveway is fine. I'm not gonna do anything to take additional parking away from downtown Mystic
you.
because it's a significant issue that we have. I also think that it looks nice and it looks between those 2 old gravel sides that it looks like that it was pre-existing. I'm just one opinion. It's up to you if you want to continue the hearing and look for additional information, survey your neighbor's driveways, look for other photos. Will the dice go to vote tonight? It's totally, I don't know if anybody else has additional feedback.
If I were you, I would have submitted more information. I mean, you can't really tell us even how wide the thing is or where the measurements are from. And that's stuff we obviously have to see. So I would encourage you to go back and do the research on some of the other driveways, what is the width of that driveway on the left there? I mean,
Right.
I mean,
You
and
can see one
give us
car
some
here.
more evidence, either for or against, as to how your driveway compares to the others. I personally don't have a problem with the driveway. I think this is ridiculous, but anyway,
I don't have a problem with the driveway either.
How many are needed for an approval? If I choose to go to vote.
I don't have a problem with that either. I just think we should make a strong case. And then, in my opinion,
I mean, and I agree with Eric on that. I mean, this is inadequate information for what you're asking for. And so to the extent that we vote in favor of it or not, I think we need what's the basis of that? How wide is the driveway? How wide are the opposing driveways? I mean, I think that should be part of the record. So if I were you, I would come back with a more expanded record and evidence.
I completely understand. I will come back. I guess for me, the dimension, whether it's 16 feet or whether it's 22 feet, I did not have a tape measure when I installed it. I was simply building it based upon these existing waypoints that were on the site. So that's where I certainly wasn't saying, oh, we got to get this on either 18 feet so we can park the cars there. I was simply trying to keep greenery, keep a foliage on each side of it and to redo that existing sidewalk. So I will come back.
So before, I'm sorry, go ahead,
I
Eric.
was gonna ask, didn't you rebuttal, really?
No, it's all there. You can see it. You can see it in the photo here.
He's
There
talking
was
about
there was
the
a third bed. The third bed, if you look at the screen, this third bed got removed and this is what became driveway here. This popsicle stick, if you will.
Well, Eric, did you rip out well, that's what I was wondering, that I think.
Sorry, I wasn't, these shrubs I planned on all redoing as well and replacing.
But I mean, if you're looking at it from
Correct.
if you're an architect.
Yeah.
In the coverage ratio.
Sure.
So you increase the impervious coverage.
Correct. That's true. Yeah, my point was I was leaving shrubs against the house and against the property line. I didn't see the district being, again, this is only in retrospect. I didn't see it being a more historic district with this bed here.
So my understanding is you're going to ask for us to continue the hearing.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I'll survey the,
So just to give everybody, the neighbors had submitted some information and just so we can put it into evidence and everyone can have whatever they want to think about. I'm just gonna read, it's this most recent email, right, Peter, that they wanted everybody to have? Okay, so this is from 54 Pearl Street. So my wife and I, Amy, live at 54 Pearl Street. We were unable to attend your last meeting due to a planned boat trip prior to our departure. We told Mr. Young, the applicant, that while we did not like the widening of his driveway, we would not object to his application or would abide by the decision of the HDC after they reviewed the circumstances, facts, and guidelines. A few days after the meeting, we were in court and able to watch the video of the missed meeting. We were very disappointed that Mr. Young recited such a distorted recollection of facts leading up to his actions. Twice during the meeting, he said in almost identical words, honestly, I was not aware of any HDC rules regarding the driveway width. Please find the attached emails from us to him on 5/25 and 5/26, advising him of the HDC rules next acknowledgement of said email. At that point, I also copied Peter Spendalis at the town hall on the situation. During the meeting, an alternative was introduced by the commission to extend the driveway to the rear of his property where there is a garage. Mr. Young stated that his 3 young children enjoyed playing back there and that would reduce the play area. It should be noted that 52 Pearl Street is not the Young's primary residence, but a short-term rental that they operate there. Widening the driveway would improve parking for his tenants, 8 adults allowed with more cars on the weekends. The Young spent 3 or 4 weeks a year at the house. Final paving operation that took place on 6/4 occurred at 7:30 on a Sunday morning. It was done without permits or approvals while the town hall closed. The neighborhood was up in arms, but there was no stopping the Massachusetts road construction firm. It was there with 4 trucks. We notified Peterson Dallas on Monday morning, email attached, and the issued a stop work order, but the job had been completed. Commission went on to discuss why they were receiving so many applications after work had already been completed without permits. Applicants seeking forgiveness rather than permission. While there are many reasons for this, Mr. Young had already demonstrated his defiance of town rules earlier in May when he installed a new HVAC compressor 18 inches from our property line without building permits or HDC approvals. Again, Peterson Dallas intervened before the installation was eventually completed. Email attached. While Amy and I both appreciate the willingness to listen to applications seeking to alter historic settings in a tasteful and thoughtful way, we don't believe that Mr. Young has demonstrated any such valid need or respect for town rules and processes. You should restore the original settings. Of the appropriate. I just wanted to get that in so nobody was
I
surprised.
appreciate it. I have put Craig on spam over 6 months ago regarding the emails. Craig is very nosy and I cleared the compressors with the condenser that once the building department came to the house because of the driveway, he witnessed the condensers and said that they were fine. They were shielded from the street and those are not, they were not under HCC purview. So their home is also built in 1998 and they built their home with their condensers right on our property line, essentially, which was built in 1852. So Craig's a very nice man and a good neighbor. He's extreme. I wouldn't call him the most historically sensitive person in Mystic, and I appreciate his opinion. And yeah, I had no control over the day that gentleman's. He called me minutes away with loads of asphalt. So it was. Long story short, it's the first time I used that contractor, and I apologize to all my neighbors at the time that they worked on the Sunday. And in the 14 years we've owned that home, we've, to my knowledge, never worked on a Sunday. So I apologize for that. Again, I would love the driveway to be reviewed on its merit. So I will measure Craig and Amy's driveway, which I'm looking forward to submitting that. I will also measure 56 Pearl, and I will come back with a bunch of measurements, and hopefully we can come to an amicable resolution of this application.
Well, with that, I move to continue.
Second,
On favor, Levinson,
aye.
Brady,
Aye.
Moriarty, aye.
Aye.
No,
Aye.
all right, the application is continued.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think
These are just for
that's
us to
just
have.
for us, but I think there's, we still need to enter this into evidence.
Have you entered anything already? We haven't.
This is the first time I've been here for this application, so I don't know.
We haven't stamped it until we continue this. So we'll just leave it in the file.
All right. HDC 22-44. 9 Roland Street.
Oh, did you call? Oh, that's right.
You know, it's-
Just kind of identify yourself.
Oh, yeah, Cody Blake, 13 Main Street. This is for the proposed new addition of 9 Roland to 2 garage dormers. Existing building there is just a standard garage with the access inside. And do is take off the top, add about 8.
Cody, you want to just go through the photos here. We'll put them up on the screen.
This is existing. Sorry. So yeah, the storm will sit right here on the north side. Yeah. Oh, not that good, but whatever. Yeah, there's the front of the house. So we're gonna raise it up about 8 feet. Cedar clapboard, solid gold trim, new Marvin elevate windows, certainty shingles. We'll shorten the existing garage door from 18 feet to about 9 feet. New door, aluminum transom window in the garage. There will be a back dormer too. I don't have that. You have a lot. Right here. Now add 4 windows to that, same thing. Cedar clapboard, certainty shingles, cedar shake. That's about it. Raise it up about 8 feet.
You have a picture of the current house, full view?
I've got this one. I don't even. That.
seems from the diagram that there's more building now to the left, that flag.
Yeah, so I don't have one in the back of the house.
Is that the back or that?
This is the back of the house right here, yeah.
No, I'm talking about,
This is the back.
that's the front, the bottom
This is
picture.
the new front, yeah, which you don't see right here. Can't see from this side right here.
Is there any structure there to the left of the flag now?
Yeah, right here. This is all to the left of that flag.
That's existing.
Yep. What we're gonna do is just right here.
Can you? I guess Don's just looking for a whole picture of the front house, so you can see the whole structure.
Yeah, it looks like you're adding on that other dormer too.
No.
Okay.
I'm just back from the neighbor's side. Oh, I guess you can kind of see it right there in the street from West Mystic. It's not great, but it's there.
Is that front of the house?
Nope, that's the back. If you're coming down West Mystic and you're looking at,
Before you make the right turn.
yeah, right there. I mean, that is the back of the door. Yes. So it'll help you much, but it might. So yeah, right there. But this is just us right here in the garage.
It's just me, I'm kind of confused of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, me too.
So this garage right here. Right here. All we want to do is add this dormer to the front, to the north and the south side. Forget all this right here. This just put in just the drawing. But just add to this garage that's right here. Going about 18 feet wide and about 8 feet tall.
So Cody, do you have a drawing of the front of the house? You have a drawing of the front of the house after you do this?
About that.
You just don't have it existing. That's what we're missing, Cody, is the existing.
Yeah, I'm just. That system. That's
Well, we can't see the front existing
right
either.
here. This is it. There's the garage.
Right, the whole house. Right, the whole, like to see the whole house, so you can see what.
I mean, yeah,
What it
because when
looks
you look
like
at this
with
photo,
maps.
Cody, it looks like the house ends at to the left side of that gable.
Right, because
and
it
there's
sets, it
nothing
looks like it
beyond
sets back.
Got it. Let's see if I can dig something up.
Yeah, because it matters.
Yep.
Like, if that's it, then it's a huge addition, but if it goes that way, then it's not.
See if I can dig something up.
How come the windows in the front are 6/6, but in the back they're not? That don't match the existing house.
That could just be the render on the drawing. Maybe just, they'll match the existing building, whatever's there. Everything will match.
If you look at your picture, they look like they're 2 over, I don't know, they were much bigger panes.
Do you have materials left?
Yeah.
That's part of that.
Back of the house. But it is all there. I mean,
Cody, if you pull it up on, you can get it.
my phone's dead.
Can you pull up the back view again,
This is an old.
the
this is a-
rendering?
I mean, it shows the front of the house.
What do you want?
Yeah.
Sorry? The back view?
Yes, the rendering. See how the windows are completely different on the garage?
Sure, that'll be changed to match up to what's existing in the house though. Yeah.
That was just a mistake?
Yeah, it could be just the rendering.
Peter Springsteen under the bus, but that was a mistake.
Okay.
All right, I'll jump in. This rear dormer right here has been there since the 80s. You all approved the front dormer,
This. Right here.
this and these two dormers. We redid the house like 5 years, a couple years ago, I don't remember. This is all here and has always been here. This is the only thing that we're adding. And the only reason we're doing that is just to get another bedroom in the house. Right now, we only have 2. So all we want to do is do a shed dormer on this side of the garage and a shed dormer
Off the back.
on the back. and just change the garage door from one big door to one smaller door, because we have to get stairs upstairs. That doesn't work with the garage door.
Just forget
Yeah,
this
so everything from there over
has been there.
on both of these photos is already there. That's nothing new.
So I understand what you're doing. I guess what I was just looking for is a photo, like a photo, not an as-built, but like an existing, to be able to see it. And I understand you're not building anything to the left of it, and I understand that the windows is just kind of a typographical issue that we can correct with some initials. I just was looking to see the whole house, because here and here, you only see
Yeah.
part of the house.
I mean, as far as a photo.
And there's no, like, your drawings don't have any, these are all as-bills, there's no existing. At least I didn't uncover one yet.
There's no existing, because all this is just a roof line. So all we're doing is putting a dormer. Because the rest of the house, if you showed an existing, all you're doing is just taking the dormer.
Right.
So
I understand that.
You're not raising the roof?
you've got to rip the roof off to do the construction, because it's all 2x6 framing. But the roof line's not going to change significantly.
Is it
I mean, it's gonna
going up in height?
It's going to go up slightly because you have to change it's 2x6 right now. So it's got to go to like a 2x10 roof rafter.
Is the height of the roof going to increase from the ground level?
Probably by about a foot to a foot and a half.
I don't see it. It seems like it's much bigger than the current garage.
You have 8 feet when you stand inside.
We should probably have some dimensions of that. There's, there's no
There's no dimensions, right?
mention on the height of that dormer on the main structure and how high the new part will be in a relationship to it.
Sure, we can wait again.
And, you know, you
Yeah,
just need
fair
a
enough.
full view of the
Fair enough.
house. And the dimensions.
Want to continue? Eric? Sorry.
We want to give it back, or do we want to keep it?
You give it back to them?
Sure.
Give it.
All right,
You gotta make a motion.
all right. I move to continue HTC 22-44.
Second.
All in favor, Levinson,
Aye.
Brady,
Aye.
Moriarty, aye. Goodman, no,
Aye.
the application is continued. Oh, I didn't see any stuff back. All right, HDC 22-45, 3 Pearl Street. Sorry. One more time?
Pearl Street, there was a siding one and a deck one. Is a deck one. I'm not doing a siding.
It's a siding, it says.
There's 2, 3. Yeah, there's 2 on the agenda, so you're gonna do one and continue the other?
I'm not doing the siding one. That's another contractor. I'm just doing the decks.
Okay,
So I don't know
so
what application that
the
was.
applicant for 3 Pearl Street, for the siding are they here? Pearl Street Capital Limited Liability Company. So I think that's the owner. Oh, Craig Margiano, sorry, applicant.
Hi, oh, are you calling Craig Margiano?
Yes.
Okay, so my name is Carla Giadio. I work for Calvary Remodeling. Unfortunately, there was a situation. Craig passed away suddenly. His brother Scott, who has a contracting company, is working with the attorney to take over Calvary Remodeling to finish, help get our projects complete. One of our projects is 3 Pearl Street here. And so, Scott was unable to be here tonight. And I am zooming in, from Florida because I have a family emergency and I'm helping to take care of a sick family member. So what our project is, we're installing new vinyl siding. Let me see, I will can I screen share our stuff? Okay. Okay, so we are, let's see, okay, so that's the contract, okay. Wait a second. I'm sorry, let me find my stuff here. Okay, here we go. So 3 Pearl Street has 2 buildings on it. There's a front building and there is a back building. So this is the face of the front building, which I believe faces
Tyler, we're not seeing your screen.
oh, you're not seeing my screen? Oh, wait a second. Okay. Hold on a second. Let me see. Okay, wait, let me just do my video here. Okay. So let me see here. Okay. More. Where does it should say share screen. Okay, here we go. Got it. Okay. So this is where we are at. Okay, so I'm going to share that. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is the front building. The brick, we wouldn't be changing. The little parts, let me come up here. We would just be replacing siding here with the we're doing the client selected midnight blue cedar impressions for the front building and Melrose for the rear. I could show you the colors in a moment, but I'm just going to just show you here the detail that we would be changing for the vinyl siding here. And then let's see. So there's that.
Changing the existing vinyl siding on the front of the building?
Say that again?
We're just swapping out the existing vinyl siding in that little alcove on the building?
For the front of the building, and then for that front part of the front building, and then we are also, because the rest of the building will be the cedar impressions as well. So the like this is the back of the building, the front building, this is the back. So we would be replacing the vinyl siding. Of course, we check every area, if there's any rot, we would put new plywood and all of that. So it's just replacing the existing, and then new gutters as well.
Carla?
Yep.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Presently, the building has vinyl siding on it.
right.
So you're just putting new vinyl siding on it.
Correct.
It's going to vinyl machine.
Correct, but it's just going to be, newer. We're using certainteed. I'll show you the product. So it's the certainteed cedar impressions, the 7-inch double. The color for the front building would be the midnight blue, and the color for the rear building would be the Melrose. So that is the product that we would be using. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I'm winding up. Wait, where am I here? Okay, hold on a second. I think we're over. Yep, so that would just be, just putting brand new vinyl siding on the front building, and then the rear building is back here. So we would be doing the Melrose with white corners on the back building. So again, it would be all new cedar impressions, the certainteed, and we inspect all the sheathing for any rot. We do custom casing, which would be white. It's all going to be white trim around the windows and the white 6-inch corner posts, and then new gutters. I don't know if you want to see any of the pictures close up, but it's just going to be all new vinyl siding around the whole building. And
Is the back building vinyl sided also?
I believe so, yeah.
Does that look like vinyl siding to you?
No, I think that looks like that's clapboard. That looks like it might be wood to me, or maybe a
Are you sure the existing building is vinyl too? It doesn't appear to be.
Let me see what's, let me see here. I'm gonna just take a look and see what, siding the contract says inspect existing clapboard siding, replace with plywood, install new foam backer. Say that again?
The existing clapboard siding.
So this, what's here, what's existing here is clapboard. So that, what that is just like, it's not cedar shakes. What the client would like is the cedar impressions, the 7-inch, perfection, cedar shakes.
I guess what we're asking, it was on the yellow building with the brick front. It appears from the photos that it's clapboard. Is it currently clapboard?
It's currently clapboard, correct? Yep.
There's no vinyl on.
It's currently clapboard, yeah. But we're replacing it with the vinyl, with the cedar impressions. Wait, where's my pictures? I'm so sorry. Here, let me get over here.
So
Okay.
you're asking for an application to go from wood to vinyl.
Correct.
Building.
Yeah, well, just for the whole project, we were under the understanding just to do just to replace the siding on on both of them, the front and the back. I'm trying to see here if, yeah, so, yeah, I think that this is just, I don't think, I'm trying to see if this is clapboard or not. I think this is, yeah, this is the clapboard, but it's, I don't believe that's vinyl. I think that is just like the, let me see. I'm trying to look in the contract here.
Carla,
Yes,
I just want to interrupt. I'm sorry, but I think this is my opinion, but I think it is highly unlikely that the commission is going to approve an application in which you have wood siding in and permit you to go to vinyl from the standpoint of the HDC guidelines. I just think I say that now.
I would agree with that. That's why we were trying to figure out exactly what was existing in the building.
okay, I'm trying to, it doesn't say in the contract what it is, but I thought it was just, I thought it was vinyl, but I'm looking at it and it's hard to, I can't,
It appears on the photos to be clapboard. And I would
Clap.
agree with wood clapboard in my
the wood clapboard. Okay, got you. All right, so it's,
consistent.
and so what would they, so they would need to replace it with
Wood clapboard.
wood clapboard.
I mean, you're more
Okay.
than welcome to continue with your application, but
I don't necessarily know if you can continue with your application because you're not sure what the existing materials are, and I don't think we can vote on anything until we're confident as to what the
Yeah, I think
existing-
it is the wood clapboard, and it was my understanding that we were going to do the cedar impressions on this front building and the rear building. I mean, what the contract says is siding installation, inspect existing clapboard siding and replace if necessary. So we were gonna go over it with plywood, install new foam backer board on exterior walls, install new mounting blocks for lights, faucets, electrical outlets, dryer vents and gable vents, install custom-made aluminum casings to all doors, windows, and garage doors with built-in J-channel to receive new siding, install new certainteed cedar impression double 7-inch siding to complete building color midnight blue for front building and Melrose for rear building, install new vinyl soffit on existing overhangs color white, install new custom bent fascia and rake board aluminum trim on areas.
Can I just interrupt you?
Yeah.
You're basically cladding the whole building in vinyl, and I don't, it's not gonna happen.
Okay. Okay, so is it just because you guys don't permit vinyl on, downtown?
Except in rare instances, there are vinyl buildings in Mystic that were, sheathed earlier or
Existing.
pre-existing, but basically today, if you've got wood siding on your house, I don't think the commission has of late approved any removal of the wood and replacement with vinyl. I mean, I don't know, the wood doesn't look to be in bad condition. I'm not sure why.
No, we were
you're-
gonna side over it unless we found rot or areas that needed to be replaced. So we were gonna go, because the clapboard is in, it's in, okay condition. There's no areas that we've come across with rot, but as they were going along, the only things we would replace would be if we did find any areas of rot, of course.
So I think your options are we know what you're doing, to move to vote, which I don't think you're gonna find a lot of support for, or to continue it. And see what the homeowner wants to do.
Yep, I mean, it's, certainty is the number one, vinyl siding. The cedar impressions are, just one of the highest quality.
It's irrelevant.
Don't vote for vinyl.
Okay. So basically, the client can't use vinyl, period. He would have to do either just paint it or
You would like us to vote on it, we can vote on it.
So, okay, I mean, I guess, it sounds like you're not gonna approve it with the vinyl siding at all, period. In which case it would go back to the customer anyway, and we would have to, see what he wants to do instead.
Would you
Is that
prefer for-
correct?
Yes,
Yes.
but would you prefer for us to vote on it? And say no to vinyl? It's not like you can't come back and do wood. We're just saying no to vinyl.
You're saying no to vinyl for certain, but we can come back and do wood. Okay, so yeah, if you wouldn't mind then just voting on it, because then I could just go, present the results to the customer, I guess, and then we can see what he wants to do. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not sure what to do.
We have to hear all the other hearings first, and then we vote on them afterwards. So we're not going to vote right now on your application. You have to hear the other hearings, and then you have to wait in line for us to vote on yours. Just so you know the procedure.
Okay, versus just saying, okay, thank you for your time and just going back with the same results. I'm not sure how would it, what do you think I should do? Because I'm not really familiar.
So your options are, we can vote on it, and my guess is that the vote will be no, or we can continue it, and you can come back with an alternative proposal that's not vinyl next time.
Yeah, or you could withdraw your.
Or you
Start
can
over.
withdraw.
Okay, so, and then to continue it, then I would just kind of sit and wait for you to come back to me and,
Well, no, you have to come back to us with an alternative suggestion other than vinyl. So it is,
Okay.
Peter said, you can also withdraw the application, come to a preliminary and see what your options are.
okay, all right, you know what, maybe that would be the best bet, then we can just regroup with the customer, and I could speak to, because unfortunately, like I said, Craig's brother's taking over the company. He has a contracting company as well, so we're trying to just get some of these jobs taken care of and maybe continue, hopefully, Calvary remodeling. But okay, so then I will withdraw.
That's Ralph. Okay. All right.
And thank you. I appreciate your time very much. Thank you.
Right.
Okay, good night.
HDC 22-48, 21 West Main Street.
Good evening, Peter Springsteel here tonight. This is a continued hearing. Peter, can I ask if we continue it to another meeting? Are we beyond the 65 days or when do we?
A2 was the first hearing,
Okay.
so 60 would be 10-2. 27.
Okay, so we can keep going. So this was the Mariner Restaurant. And we got some mixed reactions last time we were here from the commission. And one of the things that you asked us for is some additional information with regard to what the surrounding buildings are, so we can bring some context to what we're proposing here.
You're upside down. You're upside down.
Upside down to them, not to us.
Well, it's upside down. Great.
It's okay. I have it on my other screen. For me, anyway. I don't know if anybody else is watching online.
Peter can do that.
Want me to spin around?
Yeah. Well, I stand on my head.
Okay, so what we did is a streetscape, so you get a sense of the scale here. The Mariner building, the proposed Mariner building is here. Presently, the Mariner building is missing top. Okay. Then we have the clothing store next to that, and we have Black Dog next to that, which is this building here. And then we have the main block building, which is this one here. So the main block scaled out was about 51 feet tall. The proposal building that we're doing here is 33.5 feet tall. I've also included some photos of the neighborhood, so you get a sense of the context. In this photo here, this is a view from the bridge. I think there was some of you had asked for a photo from the bridge to see what you would see.
Peter, could you get a little larger as he goes?
I think he's gonna have to move it a little bit.
I might have some here though.
So from the bridge, looking west, Mariner is just beyond the tall main block building to the left there. And then you can see a series of gable roofs that march their way down West Main Street. On the other side of the road, you have some similar gable roofs. Again, marching down West Main Street. And they're at various heights. The one to the right of the Mariner is a little lower than what we're proposing. Some of the ones across the street are a little taller. If you go to this one here, you're getting a little closer in to the view. This one here is the one that you see in my rendering. And it's lower than what we're proposing. The ones across the street are a little taller, maybe more in keeping with what we've designed here for height. And then on this photo here, you're looking the other direction. And you can see the building to the right of us is this one right here. And the main block is just beyond that. Our building would fit between those two, and the height of it would be slightly higher than the building to the right. But in perspective, that height would be diminished because you can see the foreground buildings are higher than the rear ground buildings. So we did have some, I think, strong reactions to what we were proposing here. You should zoom out again. Some positive, some negative. So what we were hoping to do is maybe get some constructive feedback as to what's objectionable, what's not objectionable, so that when we come back with something, we can be a little bit more in your wheelhouse.
So I wasn't at that meeting, the last meeting. So can you just describe what's going on the new second floor there?
So essentially, we have a padimented roof with two support walls with pilasters built into them that match the pilasters in the existing building. There is a cable railing running between those two pilaster areas, and behind that is a dining area.
Okay.
outdoor dining area.
Open.
Open, yeah. I've got some 3Ds in here. That'll help you visualize it a little bit better. So this one here gives you probably the best idea what you're gonna see from the street.
Peter, you should show the original building that was on that site that was a two-story building. For Todd's
This
purposes, since he wasn't here.
building from, looks like the 1920s, I would guess.
Did that building burn down or something?
Yeah, I don't think there's really anything left of it. The Mariner right now is a concrete block building essentially, so it probably did burn down. This is very similar to the building to the right, which is this one here.
That's a black dog.
Yes, yeah.
Do you know, are there apartments on that building on the first floor?
You know, I don't know if those are apartments, but I assume that they are on the second floor, probably. Not the first floor is all retail, but the second floor, there's windows there, yeah. And there's 14 feet between the brick building and the Mariner. There's a driveway that goes through there.
So we can assume they're apartments.
Yeah, I think you can assume that.
This is a hard question to answer, but can you say that your building is greater scale and height of that? You said
Can't hear
31
you.
feet. You said roughly that your building is 31 feet. Would you say that building in that picture?
Oh, well, I think the building in the picture is very similar to this building here. So our building's taller. It's also wider, so that would.
That's all that building.
This one here. It looks to be, I'd say, about 24, 25 feet.
Can I see the other side view? We're looking at it from the east. Well, you had it there. Oh. Yeah, that. So that's the driveway to the right there.
That's the driveway. Right there. This structure is a new structure on the back. It's sort of a storage thing. You will see up into the roof here. The way we proposed it at this point, there will be some ties tying the roof together.
And then what, and if I was looking from the west back to the east, you have, I mean, I can sort of, you don't really have a drawing of that, do you?
That's what the east right there.
That's the.
I'm looking from the west to the east, I'm saying.
I think there's one in here somewhere. Yeah, there's a building right up against it, right here.
Yeah.
So you see some of this on the road.
So what's the material I'm looking at on the upper part of the second floor there, underneath where it says stop share? The vertical, those vertical boards are,
See right there, stop there.
And right above Bonnie.
Oh, those are vertical boards. That's a screen wall fence, essentially.
and that's on the outside west wall of the building.
That's on a walkway that's sort of about halfway onto the roof of the building. So it's not right to the edge on this side. On the west side along the alley, we've got a screen type system. It's a little bit more dressed up than the vertical boards. That is right at the face of the wall.
So from the one below there, where is that on the building? Is that on the outside? That's at the outside wall, or is that recessed too? That screening,
That screening there,
yeah, that,
that's on the plane of the outside wall.
it is on the plane,
Yeah.
outside wall. And so would there be tables behind that?
Yes, yes. So here's a. So this is a rooftop plan here. The alleyway is right here. I'm sorry. Reversed here. Yeah, the alleyway is here. So that screen wall that you're seeing is right here.
Yeah, and then that's the first floor to the left there.
Yes, yes. This is that other screen you were seeing from the
Okay.
west.
There's some reason why you're making it so tall, the proposed addition, why that roof has to be so tall?
Really, the only reason is proportionally with the building. If I lower the roof, I think this rectangle here is going to feel too squat. Also, this pitch is sort of the Greek Revival pitch. And this building's a little bit wider than some of the other buildings on the street, so I think that's why it's getting taller, but also to make this rectangle not be too squat.
Can I add something? I'm sorry, my name is Jacob Andrews.
You can come up here, Jacob.
So what I'm trying to say is, excuse me.
You want to
So-
introduce yourself?
Yes, Jacob Andrews, Shoreline Hospitality LLC. We run the Mariner industry. So the reason we went for that roof, originally we wanted just to do open patio. But we felt for the sake of the tenants around us and, you know, the beauty of the town, we want to mimic the historic view of this building. So that's why when we found the picture that Peter showed earlier about the building that was there before, we were trying to mimic the same shape. So it's kind of, you know, when he showed that picture from the town, from the bridge, you will see all those buildings on each side have those gable roofs. So that's what we were trying to follow. And the height of the building was because we were trying to do some contraptions, some sort of, you know, shade situation. We didn't want to put like cheap umbrellas or some sort of retractable sails and situations. So we figured, you know, if you put a full roof, it gives better protection from potential noise to you know, our neighbors in the building next door in the steamboat inn. And that's why we figured we put a full roof to just give that enclosure. Both sides are fully fenced, as you can see, so there will be no, you know, there's no like, you know, people that you can see from either side of the building, only from the front of the building. And also, I just want to mention, I think there were some issues and fears that it will be like a rooftop bar. I know some people brought like chapter 1 situation in Mystic when it's very loud, very late. This is not who we are. And people that know how we open Mariner, we close early, we close at 10 o'clock at night. We don't have parties, we don't have live music, we don't have DJs. So it's at no means this is gonna be a rowdy bar that we stay open late. We are talking about extension of our dining room. And, you know, based on the last couple of years, we've noticed there's a lot of demand, people willing to sit outside, especially in the COVID situation. And we want to share that with our customers and then reach the neighborhood. And because of that, knowing that the patio that we have in the back is not the most beautiful patio in Mystic, we would like to make it nicer. And that's why we propose to go up on the roof. Originally, we were trying to keep it contained in the parking lot, even though but I think there is some issue with town about the parking issues, where now there are 3 parking spots, even though it's property or landlord, where the current outdoor patio is because of the parking situation in town.
Are you going to lose that patio?
Yeah, correct. That's the only reason we're doing it.
Run out?
Yeah, in April, the ordinance will expire, and then that time it will be on. So that's the reason we're trying to find a solution to, you know, help our guests to be still able to dine outside. And, you know, if you look in the Mystic, you know, there's multiple locations in town already, from SIFT to, you know, Treehouse, where they're exactly the same rooftop situations, you know, for dining, not for, you know, anything else.
So I'm gonna say I probably had one of the strongest adverse reactions last time. My issue with it, I'm not gonna bore everybody here with 40 pages that I printed out for my handbook, but my issue with is compatibility. You know, when we talk about appropriateness, talks about compatibility, you know, compatibility of setting in the area, compatibility with the other architecture.
Sure.
My issue with it, it's, I think, too modern of a tip of the hat to the Greek Revival. You know, if it was more enclosed like the original picture, I wouldn't have an issue with it, but that openness, I don't think it fits with anything else downtown.
So you're saying if maybe the front facade, instead of being the railing, if we would just put like a windows, that would be something that would fit better with the old building that was there in the rest of the town?
Something, I just think in its present, it's too modern.
Okay.
I think as an owner of a restaurant, a guy that runs a restaurant should be happy that Mystic is a #1 restaurant spot. And we got to where we are by maintaining our historic charm.
100%.
And we don't want to ruin that. That's not going to be good for you. It's not going to be good for anybody here. And in my opinion, it's just way too modern of a interpretation of a Greek revival building. And that's, I'm just an alternate, so
No,
I
no, of
probably won't
course,
vote on
I-
it, but I would be
So if
opposed
we get
to it for
more
that
into
reason.
the style of the rest of the buildings with, maybe windows and closing it up, you would be okay with?
I would be okay with
If
that.
you close the whole thing in, I would be fine with it.
Yeah.
If it looked like
Did you hear my
that,
reaction when you,
I'm not sure that I did.
it looked like a barn was placed on top of it just, like, that just
well,
came out of my mouth faster than I could hold back.
And Peter,
It just was so shocking. It was
no,
just
no,
such a shocking.
no offense, but I like a lot of your design, but what I said last time, it reminded me of the Vegas Strip. And no offense, but that was my initial reaction.
so I kind of laughed before this meeting because I couldn't remember where I'd seen this thing, and then I remembered that I couldn't remember half of my Vegas trip. So, no offense, it's Caesar's Palace. On top of that,
That's what I said last time too, yeah.
I remember taking this photo, but I had it in my phone. I don't have a photo in my house, but I have.
We didn't know that.
I mean, I hate to say it, but if you would put it against all the buildings on the Main Street in Mystic, they all look the same. They have the same gable buildings.
That has that historic look. It has that, whatever, the arched window on the top. It's enclosed. I think if you want to add a second floor, I don't think anyone would.
He wants the,
That's
he
what I'm
wants
saying,
the
so-
outside dining though. That's
I
his
don't
goal.
think it's right. And I think SIFT was a mistake. I've said that. I mean, Treehouse is different. I think SIFT was a mistake.
I mean, I'm gonna be open to enclosed windows that opened up, like they were talking about it, Mystic Pizza. I just, that open design just personally doesn't work for me. I think a lot of people in town would agree with that.
No, that's a great feedback. If you're saying that, as long as we enclose it, we can go back to the drawing board and get something that makes everybody happy.
I think I'm no architect, but it seems like the second floor with the roof there is much out of proportion to the bottom.
It does seem
First
top
floor.
heavy. I agree.
Yeah, we can definitely modify
Sure.
that. There's no question, yeah.
Yeah,
The goal for us is to get, essentially 45 seats that we can extend our dining to people in the summer, especially that can be outside. Now, how we do it, it's up to you guys. Whatever makes you happy, we'll draw it the way that satisfies the town, because we are part of the community and we want it to be good for everybody, for our neighbors, for, historic look of the town, because we're not here for another year or two. We have over 10 years lease and we're there to stay. So we want to make sure that everybody's happy with that design.
I think the objection.
I think that it's a nice looking building, but I do think if you just enclose the front facade with some windows that open, it would probably be a little bit more appropriate to a Greek revival. But I don't have any problem if you left the sides open.
Yeah, I disagree. I think you should close the whole thing.
It's a whole different zoning issue if you do that.
I think it should be an enclosed structure. It should, if you want to match that, I would be fine with you matching that in its totality.
And I agree with Eric.
Any sense of that openness, I mean, I think Treehouse is different, and I think that was approved a while ago. Or I don't know how you approved it. I think SIFT was
Voted for it.
as a fixed original
Uh,
bastardized version.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with some of these other comments. Of course, I tend to take a slightly more liberalized view with regard to architecture and its evolution and everything else. And although I can understand some of the concerns about, I think it does a little top heavy. But I think that, outdoor dining in of itself, I think is a desirable feature. And it's something that we have not a great deal of in downtown Mystic because we don't have sidewalks. We don't have the ability to expand our outdoor dining in most of the Groton side of Mystic because it's overbuilt and all the ground and land area is covered. And I think that if you look at, if you do a sensitive adaptation and you start to mimic or model after some of the other architectural forms that are on the street, I think that you can have outdoor dining up there. And I don't think people are going to go running down the street screaming bloody murder about how awful it is. And, SIFT,
It looks just like SIF's edition.
Well, yeah, and I really, I don't know, I'm just for giving you a bit more leeway to some of the more innovative concepts and ideas. If you close that upstairs in, you've totally changed the character of what the restaurateur is looking for. In form and substance and from an operation standpoint. I mean, and you know, second floor dining is in the restaurant business. Some of you guys probably experience it across the street a little bit, is not considered terribly desirable. People don't want to go upstairs, especially if they can't see what's going on up there. I mean, these are business issues. They aren't necessarily architectural design issues, but I think that architectural design and good architectural design has to take has to pay attention to form and function. So, do you need to maybe sculpt it down a little bit? Maybe close it in a little bit more, maybe. But I think that closing the upstairs in is not necessary from my standpoint.
A couple of hearings ago, you argued about, or Bonnie argued, or someone did, both of you, about following the textual approach of that guidebook, which has nothing like that in it or allows for it.
Like I said, we got 40 pages here. I won't type all down reading it page for page, but I agree.
Against that. So either you want to follow it or don't follow it.
I think that it's on a case-by-case basis. I'm not nearly as conservative as some of you guys on the commission, and I freely acknowledge that. There were years there where you couldn't use AZEC and you couldn't use, any artificial substances and whatever. And why? Because they didn't use them back in 1850. So what? I mean, architecture is an evolving, growing, expanding kind of thing. And I think you have to look at some new forms and be willing to accept them. They aren't building the same houses in 1700s as they built in the 1600s or in the 1800s. And no one was telling those ship's captains or anybody else, well, you can't build that here. It doesn't look like the stuff that was here before. That is, I think, is a phony platform to proceed from. And I disagree with it. And I've said that in many other hearings.
What I think is probably coming, I think we've got a lot of residents here that have comment. I think then our job is to be stewards of the town. So maybe we need to take into account what some of the population wants to say too.
We have a time for public comments.
I don't know if I heard from you, son.
I don't find the project objectionable. Which is what I said in the last meeting.
I don't have a problem with it being open either if it was simplified and shrunk a little bit and those posts weren't quite as fancy as you got them there.
Bonnie, do you have any additional feedback?
No, I think that maybe some of the scale, but I don't have any problem with it the way it is. And I do think closing it all in would not be what the client's going for or what people in town want. They want to have the outdoor spaces.
And Bill, your comment was,
It said disproportionate.
Okay.
And we just look. I love the concept. I disagree with the ideas. I love the I love sitting on the second floor. So I don't mind going upstairs personally to an enclosed.
Let's break it down.
Yeah, but I just think, like, I mean, I love that buildings in the big Porch again with the 1920s cars. Yeah. And
the cars.
Yeah, the cars, I agree. No, but you know what I'm saying.
No, of course, absolutely.
They may be before 1920 on the automobile expo. Model Ps.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hi, sorry to interrupt, but I can't hear what Bill's saying because there's a lot of chattering going on at the table.
All
It's
I
hard
was
to
saying was,
report.
all I was saying is, I love the concept of the outdoors. I don't necessarily agree with the concept that if there was second floor indoor dining, that it would be prohibited from a business point of view. I pointed out, I like going to the Amelia and sitting on the second floor and looking down and the people watching as well. But I just, the scale of it just seemed too big, and it was, as I said, it looked like a barn was put on top of a smaller building. And that's, if it was scaled down, And enclosed, I'd have no problem. If it was scaled down and open, I'd have less of a problem. That was just my.
Thank you. Sarah and I were just discussing, because I know some of you come here and may want to express your opinions on this thing. Now, theoretically, we only take public comment when we go forward to do a vote. And I was just asking Sarah whether, in fact, if you guys decide you want to revamp your proposal somewhat, can we not have let the public who came to this meeting say what they want to say? Anyway,
Not at this point.
we just can't do it.
You gotta follow the procedure.
So then I have a question. Sorry. When we did HDC 22-40 and I read that woman's letter and so that everybody knew what they were dealing with because that person had asked us that we all have it. Isn't that a similar?
That was a written testimony given. They could have given written testimony prior that submitted it.
There are plenty of times that we've taken comments when we haven't voted.
And I think these folks have taken time out of their day to come here. I don't think it's.
We don't object to it.
I don't remember ever taking comments.
Wait. Hold on. So in all of my memory, it's been, they present the application, we get ready to vote, we say, does anyone in the public want to speak for this? Does anyone want to speak this? If we continue, we've never had anybody speak public comment. Now,
Because the public comments have been made and then they've decided to go back and make their own changes based upon the public comments. They continue that. We've done that before.
we had, yes, but they didn't make the option to continue it prior to. We
All right,
knew that
they
this
can still
application
waive
was
and
gonna
speak
be
in full.
continued.
Sarah, you want, I could read this right out of here.
Okay.
Okay. Upon completion of the applicant's presentation, chairperson and commission members may direct questions to the applicant or his or her representatives. At this time, the commission may also make suggestions, design modifications. You guys know. After questioning comment by the commission, the chairperson will ask for and hear any comments from the audience. Such audience members must first introduce themselves by name and address.
So we can,
So they can do it.
we can do it. Okay, I just thought since everyone came, I didn't want to not let you speak.
My only question is, are you going to ask to continue this to submit a new version? So are they commenting? I guess you probably want to hear their comments anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So before I ask any comment on in public, anyone in the public would like to comment. Does anybody on the commission or the applicant have anything additional that they'd like to discuss? No. Okay, thank you. Anyone? Public likes to comment. Hands? Any hands?
My name is Glenn Galino. I'm president of the Steamboat Work.
You guys have.
Yeah, why don't you guys go sit?
You come
up.
When you come up.
Well, I don't have any specific comments per se, but my name is Glenn Galino. I'm president of the Steamboat Wharf Condominium Association, and many of our owners are here. And we were just at a town meeting where we were expressing our concerns about level of noise, what's been happening with downtown Mystic, and just our concerns that these plans may just augment those issues that we're now sort of addressing in general with the town council. As a general rule, I don't want to speak for everyone. I personally don't have a huge issue with what the plans are. If there are aspects of it where it can be contained, where they do follow the rules, and at 10 o'clock, everything shuts down and there's, adherence to the ordinances that are already in the town. I don't think in general, we want to poo-poo what's happening in downtown Mystic. I just think that, in light of what's been happening with some of the other locations, we just have a concern as to how this might add to that. And also with regard to the appearance of the building, I don't know what it looks like from behind. So basically, building 2, which is the building I'm in, we're going to look directly in back of this building. And so I'm not exactly sure what this, how it's doing here. And also, the ingress and the egress to the outdoor, will that be in the parking lot behind, where will that be located exactly? I think that's the concern or question many of our owners have. So there'll be a stairwell basically going on the back of the building, which is how people are going to get in and out of. Basically, we're going to be watching people coming up and down stairs on a daily and evening basis, which, with regard to our property values, et cetera, may have a bearing. So that would be a concern or a question I think I personally would have, since I would look directly on those stairs. I know the Bowens, who are even closer, I know the folks at the Steamboat Inn are even closer to, what could potentially be an eyesore for the owners and residents and patrons of other locations in downtown Mystic. So I will just wanted to raise that issue. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. I know some other owners would like to share their views as well.
Thank you.
I think something, I also live at Steamboat. Wharf.
Introduce yourself. Say your name and
Judy Harper. I also live at Steamboat Wharf, and my husband purchased the property 33 years ago. And I moved in 20 years ago. So things have drastically changed since we purchased the property. And parking is already a problem. So our concern would be, he has a restaurant already. How many customers are going to be added to that restaurant if he builds up? And I like your idea of it closing it, because is he going to add music? Is that going to add noise? And where is everybody going to park? Because parking is already a problem in Mystic. And how many people is this going to add to his restaurant? And how many people are going to park? And where are they going to park? Because residents are already complaining, not people who live in the parking lot area, but people who live along all the streets, Gravel, Pearl, everywhere that leads out of Mystic, because people that come into the community on the weekends are parking along all the side streets. This isn't what we moved to Mystic for. I know we don't want to start progress, but you're the historic committee. This is not, if you look at the pictures of when this building was that level, look at the cars, look at the era that was in. That wasn't this era. There is no room. We need more infrastructure. We don't need higher and more restaurants and buildings. We need to supply more parking spaces and things, because anyway, also, we all share a common dumpster. The dumpster for the condos, for the apartment building, and every one of the restaurants and businesses along that street. One dumpster. What's going to happen when we go up with one more restaurant? The facilities, and as I said, the infrastructure isn't there for more improvement. They built the stores and the condos across the street finally after a settlement with the fire that we had years ago. And they can't sell the condos because there's no parking. We need to think of a long range plan for some of these things. We're talking about historic beautification, but if it's creating more infrastructure problems, that's not considering the beautification or the well-being of our community. Let's see. I would also like to know what he's planning on using this area for. Is it going to be dining, or is it going to be music and dancing?
I can answer that if you'd like. Yeah, there will be no moving or dancing.
What is it? Is it just dining?
Extension of our dining. So essentially, I can ask you a couple of your questions about parking. Currently, we have a 50-person patio in the back of the Mariner. Essentially, what we do, we're just taking that patio with a very big concern about our neighbors, who a lot of us, all of them are our customers. I think you've noticed that we don't do late parties, we don't have DJs, we don't have dancing, we don't have music. We're the first restaurant to close in town. 10 o'clock, the Mariner kitchen is closed. There's no, on the Friday, Saturdays, we close at 10. On the weekdays, we close at 9. And then we kind of pull through to upstairs. Essentially at 9 o'clock, which will be closed. There's never live music. It's not meant to be a party spot. It's not meant to be, a drinking bar. It's meant to be dining. It's, from a business perspective, for us to just, it's too small of a place. Our limit on customers is upstairs, we give them 50 for fire marshal and other limitations. So, you know, for us, even to make it a bar would make financial sense. We have to make it dining, so it financially makes sense for us to open. There's no interest of making a live music scene. Like, as you know, we don't have any live music DJs. No, I mean, last time we had somebody giving was 2 years ago, probably. So that's not our intention whatsoever. And also, it will be seasonal. This will be open only.
Bringing in the fire marshals is another good point too, because right now, it is a worry for us, and it is a worry for the fire department too, getting in and out of the parking lot if there should be a fire. Because the parking lot, people don't pay any attention to the lines in the parking lot. People don't pay on the weekends. People don't pay any attention to what is a real parking place and what is not a real parking place. In front of our condo, we have a little bricked in area in front of our garage. And we park there. We don't use a parking space within the parking lot. A weekend ago, somebody parked with a truck in front of our vehicle. So we couldn't get in or out. They parked in an area that was not a marked parking place. They just parked there because they couldn't find another parking area. People are parking wherever they want within the Mystic downtown parking lot. So they disregard the fire lanes. So it's difficult sometimes for emergency and fire vehicles to get in and out of the parking lot as well. So it's becoming a safety issue too. So
I have a question for the owner. So you say you guys don't have live music, but I'm gonna date myself here when I was in my early 20s, that was, I think, what, 41 degrees north. It was different owners. If that's built, how are you gonna promise one of the residents 20 years from now, the guy that gives you a wheelbarrow full of money to sell, hang on please, to sell your restaurant isn't gonna have a DJ up there? You can't guarantee that, can you?
We put in the lease, we put a deed throughout the town as a amendment. I don't know. Learning, but yeah, we could put in, you know, town records that, hey, please close us down. You're open past 10 and have a license. No, right.
You can't.
It's not out.
Your liquor license allows it. You can't prohibit it. And they can't prohibit you from having it. So if your opinion changes down the road, you want to do it, you can
I
do
don't
it.
have a legal capacity to answer that question right now, but I'll definitely look into it. You know, as far as us, you know, we could, you know, if there is a way to do it, we have no problem, you know, signing a contract with every neighbor that we're gonna shut down after.
I mean, one thing I'd like to say, this is a resident of Mystic, not as a commissioner. This is nothing against your establishment. Doesn't have a problem with your establishment. But downtown Mystic is turning into drunken Disneyland. And I just, okay.
Our restaurant goes to 10 and we hate when we hear about stories from other venues and the cops and the noise and the broken trash cans. Like, this is the first thing where we hate. You know, again, it projects now at us, you know, but we are not the rest of the, you know, we don't represent all the businesses.
Our places downtown, the Mariners, the close.
And like I said, it was not directed at him nor his business. I'm just, and not as a historic district commissioner, this is a resident of the town.
Place. It was kind of the last stop after you got kicked out of a couple of places. You go to the Mariners, they don't turn you off. That was the first thing that we did, was get rid of that. And we kept that consistent for 5 years now. We haven't had one person tell us that we're making too much noise, anything like that. As long as we own the place, I think even you guys know that's not something that you'd have to worry about with us. As far as afterwards, if there's a way to figure that out, then I'm happy to do it.
You're saying if I walk with a wheelbarrow full of cash flow in the lottery tomorrow, you wouldn't sell to me for a stupid price? That's just my point, you know.
Who else would like to speak?
My name is Rosemary Robinson, and I'm the general manager for Walter Glazer, who owns the brick building right next door, as well as the parking lot. And yes, those are apartments. You're going to be putting that right outside. They're long-term residents, and they're not going to be happy having that right outside, that is literally right outside their bedroom window. They've been there for years. The last thing they need is a restaurant or a bar or whatever up there, right outside their window. You have the inn right there. You know, they already do their smoking all out in the alleyway and everything. We're cleaning that up all the time. They're gonna be hanging out on the stairs now in the back. It's gonna be even worse. And no, there is no parking. And they only have 3 parking spaces. How are they gonna accommodate another 45 vehicles or people? You know, I'm literally having to repair our gate every weekend because somebody decided they want to drive through it. And it's becoming a real problem downtown. We need to, you know, I'm okay if they scale it down and it's enclosed, even if it's enclosed with windows, whatever, and I'm willing to work with them. But open, it's too much right next to my residence. And Burns, I'm sure has much to say because he's got residents right on the other side as well. You know, I'm all for it being a mixed use district, and residents are always told that they have to accommodate businesses need to grow, and that's fine. Businesses need to accommodate residents. Wow. That's my opinion, and I'm gonna lose tenants, I'm sure. Anybody else?
Hi, everyone, Eric Burns. I'm actually here representing 8 through 22 West Main. It's a whole project today. That's I guess a first procedural question for you guys, given this is probably not getting a vote tonight. So assuming they, you know, have some sort of redesign, is it then opened up again?
Yeah, so they're gonna continue tonight, so they'll come up back at the next meeting, which will be the 3rd Tuesday in September. I'll make their presentation with their changes. If they go to vote that night, again, everyone will have the ability to make comments on it.
Right. They also have the choice to do a pre-hearing, right?
Right, do the continuance or they'll withdraw and do a new application. Either way, they're still the same, but this doesn't displace that bond. Okay, all right. I'll try to truncate some of what I was gonna say, just based on you know, comments have been made here, and obviously people have you know, a lot of practical on the ground concerns from what they deal with as being neighbors. So I'll just try to touch on some other comments here. So I would say first thing, I agree with what some others said. I think these guys are an asset for downtown. I think they run 2 great restaurants. They're great operators. Necessarily negative feedback on them. And with Peter, but you know, we worked with them a lot, like a lot of his designs. My commentary here was really on the visuals of this project, which we only heard about this earlier today from a concerned neighbor, so I didn't have a lot of time to look into all the details of the plans, but we spent a lot of our time looking through other sort of, you know, classic New England downtowns, tourist areas, historic areas, both in the Northeast and Florida. And we were trying to put our heads together to think of like anything else that we had seen that looks like this, you know, prime right on Main Street downtown, wide open second floor facade thing. So I guess with everything we've discussed so far, that's probably, you know, some changes will probably come about to that design. We couldn't wrap our heads around how, you know, that could be considered historically appropriate based on everything else that's there. And after reading through some pages of the guidebook and trying to make sense of, you know, are these sort of compatible or characteristics with, you know, what was the wording of the building traditions of the area, things like that. I couldn't see or understand where the historical appropriateness would come from. But again, it sounds like we probably have some redesign coming up the pike. We also would probably be supportive of something that, you know, looked similar to the original Greek revival there. I think in our minds, something that's was there would make more sense and be more compatible with in downtown. I understand that might not be the same interest as the operators, and it's great to hear that, you know, people need more space. And I like the idea of outdoor seating wherever possible. I think it's tricky in a district like this where you might have some locations that might, you know, let's say it's freestanding, it's off the main street, it's, you know, tied into industrial uses, or it looks marine-ish or something like that. There you can kind of sneak it in. I just couldn't wrap my head around plunking it right on the front center face of downtown Mystic, which, a lot of people have, great passion for the character that you guys have helped to uphold through the years. I think that Mystic has grown a lot lately. We've obviously been long-term landowners down here. I think, between your commission helping us to get the building across the street designed, and some of the other work with growing food uses down there, I think the town has come a long way, but all that still sort of maintaining the majority of the, the architectural aesthetic that, people have come to enjoy that was preserved. And, I get it's sort of a moving target and you have to be a little flexible. This one, I couldn't quite wrap my head around seeing what was there, in terms of seeing in any other towns, Newport, Guilford, or Essex, Bristol, Rhode Island, or any of those places. I couldn't have, couldn't come up with an example of where we had seen something like that. So, I won't go through all my stuff. I think that covers kind of the gist of what I had. I know the other residents are going to have some concerns about, the noise and those sort of issues that, I was glad to maybe hear them out, but I sounds like we're going in the right direction of finding something that maybe fits a little better with the sort of characteristics of what we hope the Main Street facades get protected to and sort of stick by. So I think that's probably most of what I have to cover. I guess my one other concern was, so this is just sort of a general question for you guys, because I am here and I know this is a double-edged sword thing. So you guys are it's a much more pleasurable experience coming to you guys now than it was 10 or 15 years ago. You guys are very open to practical suggestions, working with people, and really appreciate that. Things like this where there's, a change to a facade or on Main Street, is there a differentiation for things that are considered sort of minor changes? Like we, for example, send people in for signs or just going to a final application. Are you allowed to go to final application at any time with HTC? It's just up to the commission and them to whether or not they can.
That's what the applicant wants to do. You can just go straight to a final application anytime. You don't have to do a prelim.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sometimes you find yourself wishing that you did. So.
Okay, I didn't know if there was a set of rules related to sort of minor adjustments or minor change things, because that's.
We've been trying to streamline some things where there's no hearing on something small and administrative. We've been trying to get to that. It's been a little bumpy.
Yeah, and I realize there's a lot of issues to cover, a lot of things that will be small and things that you don't want to bog down the process with, but I do appreciate you guys, being better to work with and more productive and moving things forward. That's could take, enough time to consider the aesthetics of this project. And I think it would be cool. I definitely would be up there myself if it was there. I don't know that it necessarily fits in the appropriateness as it's designed now. So I guess we'll wait and see what the design looks like, and hopefully we'll come up with something that really can. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, sir. Would anybody else in the audience like to speak on this particular application?
Good evening. My name is Bobby Jordan. I am the property manager for Jerome Properties, 23 West Main Street, which is the abutting property moving east. So we have Island Pursuit and Black Dog and two other properties. This proposal was brought to my attention this morning from a neighbor. So, I haven't had a ton of time to look over the plans. I'm glad I got the opportunity tonight. And I think I echo a lot of what some of the other residents are saying in terms of the open concept. Like I do all the leasing for all of our apartments, and we'll be walking up and down the street, and they're enamored with the architecture and the nostalgia of downtown Mystic. And I think seeing an open concept bar would just seem completely out of place in my opinion. I also run into a ton of situations as a property manager where, I don't know, we've mentioned after one thing, but just the late night people on top of our rooftop next to the Mariner, not saying that they're coming from there. I absolutely love Mariner's operators, but we've had a lot of issues with people up top drinking beers and throwing cigarettes up there and yelling at our tenant that their door is essentially 10 feet from you know, where these people would be dining within 15 to 20 feet. Yeah, so that is definitely a concern of mine, and you know, I just wanted to share those few things, and you know, I look forward to seeing you know, an improved design, I guess, and seeing what comes up out of it. And yeah, that's really all I had for you guys, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right.
Anybody else? Anybody in the audience online? Okay. If there's nothing else, are you gonna say something? Okay, I am gonna move to continue this application.
Second.
All in favor, Levinson,
Hi.
Brady,
Aye.
Moriarty, aye. Goodman. No. No. Aye. The application is continued.
Thank you.
We're not making a lot of progress. HCC 22-49, 245 High Street. Oh, lucky you.
I've been waiting. Hiring for solar in the future, right? Do we still, are you the real estate attorney? You did my mortgage.
Nice to see you again.
I think the town of Knowing, they stopped doing the hearing. Are they gonna do that for solar here too?
No, so Noang is a totally different, they don't have HCC, they have zoning. So they're a totally different entity. Okay, it's me.
Sarah. Looking more for noise down forward.
I was saying, we need to figure the admin process out because we don't approve solar.
Solar gets approved in California, it gets approved just by email, you know? I mean, which I understand, I've been doing for a long time, but nobody wants to come here that I have to go.
Here, but you know what? No one can see your computers. Just for, oh, you can do that.
I can do that.
Okay.
Or I can do that. Either.
Excuse me. There that outside.
The camera is.
Thank you.
My name is Maren Svester from Mystic Solar. My case is not as complicated as other. So basically, the homeowners were gonna come here, Leslie and Wayne, but they decided not to come. We're basically, this is the front of the house. The solar is not gonna be visible. The solar is gonna be on this south facing roof, which is this roof, which is not gonna be visible from the street. Very simple. If there is anything that anybody wants to ask, here is the plan set, how the solar is gonna look.
Where is the, just coming off of the solar that provide power to the house?
So I'm gonna go through the attic.
There's nothing external.
No, it's gonna go through the attic and come down.
Eric Lobster. Does anyone have any questions or comments for the applicant?
We have a description of the
Yep.
number of panels and all that jazz.
Yeah.
I read everything. I said everything to Thomas. I don't know. This is my first time here. Thomas, I sent all the. Yeah. And the good thing about these panels are all the inverters are on the panels, so there's nothing gonna be saying now.
The only thing in the past that we've ever like had issues with is like when a lot of times the conduits or other things run like on the face of the house. You know, prime, if you're running all the connections. Everything's going to see on the side except for the panels.
Very thin, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Any other comments for the applicant? Would anyone in the audience like to speak for this application? Would anyone in the audience like to speak against this application?
See, 22-49 is closed. Yes, I think he's next. Unless they mixed up my things. No, yeah, this. Okay, you're awesome.
If anybody wants to go solar, let us know.
Good pitch. No soliciting it.
Thank you for your patience.
I'm gonna go to New York right
HDC 22-50 to Eldridge Street. John and Carolyn Crowley, Creative Enclosures. They're not here by now. They're not coming. Unless they're on Zoom.
Anyone out there? Anyone raising their hand?
No. All right. I'll just stuff it to the back, just in case. 22-51, 3 Pearl Street. Front and rear decks. Yes. Short straw. Yeah, I will hand them all over to you.
How did you end up happening? Whatever. I'm just.
That's like always hiding over there.
Yeah.
Can I say something? So. You know, kind of most of it, and this would be where one of the decks is going right here, and the other deck will be going right on the front of this building. This would be looking up the driveway from Pearl Street. You know, all you'd see would be the front of that deck, and then there'd be a French door going where those 2 windows are.
Did you state his name?
Oh, sorry, Judd Furtman with the Wheat Construction. Kind of be the feeling of the family.
I know.
And it's the front view of that with the new French door. What the deck would look like. You really only see like this portion. Driveway. And that would be what the French door would actually look like. Final plan. Is it adjustable?
So you were here before, I think I remember this application, it was a while ago. Did you make changes to it from what it was previously?
No, I didn't.
Balusters changed and stuff.
Yeah, I just brought a sample of, it's gonna actually be white, but this is all they had, which is just a composite rail with a
From
composite
before it was
baluster.
wood?
Yeah,
The pressure treated.
it was with an outward installed
The decking.
70s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just for the front building, the deck would just be right there, so you'd see that from over there. That's kind of what it would look like.
Okay.
And then that door would also go where that other window would be. Yeah. That's pretty much it. And then this was just all like the literature on the actual railings and stuff.
Does anyone have any comments or questions on this one? No, Bonnie? Bonnie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I don't have any, except for, since this was the house that was gonna be in vinyl, is that gonna impact anything with his project?
I don't see how.
Okay. Is his railings, what are they made out of? I couldn't hear that. Okay. Thank you.
Would anyone in the audience like to speak for this application? Would anyone in the audience like to speak against this application? HGC 22-51 is closed. Thank you. HGC 22-52, 9 West Mystic Ave, Peter and Mary Edwards, Vision Solar.
I am here in representation of Vision Solar.
You can just give us your name and then start your application.
Sure. My name's Jeremy Hyde. I'm the Inspections and Service Manager for Vision Solar here in Connecticut. I do apologize as this is my first time doing one of these. I'm not not sure what you guys have for information already from my company, as I just found out about this a couple hours ago.
Mary, I can show you what's been submitted unless you want to screen share. But let me just show you what's in our application.
Sure.
I'm not nearly as good as Bill Ferguson. So you have your GIS map from your house,
Yep.
in-house.
Yep.
And then we have a site plan. The panels are gonna go.
Correct.
Right here. Back here. Anything you want to add on this?
Just, that we are going to be running all the pipe in the attic as well. So there will be no exterior, at least on the roof. There will be some potentially on the outside. And then, any equipment that we can mount on the inside of the house, meaning our inverter, that can all get mounted inside. So it's not going to, affect the outside look of the house at all. There will be a disconnect, per fire code next to the existing electrical meter.
Lastly, we have your specs for what you're installing. So I think we have everything here, unless you have any additional comments or any of the commission has any comments.
So you said there may be some line conduit running on the exterior.
So I don't, to be fully honest, I can't tell you, the entire inside of the house. So we can definitely run pipe through the attic. But then coming down from the attic, we might have to run some outside. But we could always, we try and tuck it in or hide it on the back of the house, especially in a situation like this where, we're trying to make it look as unassuming as possible in the historic district.
Any other comments or questions?
How do we handle that if he has to come back and do the stuff?
Yeah, I'd like to see the pictures before we.
My biggest point is he won't know. And probably, fortunately for us, irrelevant because we're kind of required to approve solar. So if he comes out and says everything has to be mounted on the exterior, it really doesn't matter. So.
Sort of. The solar, we generally have to approve, but the connections and everything, we don't. But that house, because I live right next door. If you go down there driving to the right, the house tucks in. So if he just puts everything in that back corner there where it says 2 foot whatever, 5 or something, we're never gonna see it anyway. Everything stays here. You'll never see it from anywhere.
Yeah.
So if you put it on the front of the house, you may,
Well, he just said he was gonna try to hide it as best as possible, so I take him at his word.
well, I was also gonna try to match the height of my garage, but he didn't fit in. So I'm just trying to make a point that if you keep it out of the way altogether, it doesn't matter. But a lot of people try to do things and their driveway ends up 17 feet wide.
19 feet.
19 feet wide. So again, if he keeps everything out of the public way altogether, we have no issues. Or in view of the public way.
Would he have to come in and amend the application and put something on the outside that he's not identifying now as being on the outside? Yeah, I think.
Do you know where the service?
You hear that?
Yes, the service is, if you see on the plans right there, right by where your thumb is where the service comes into the house. So we have to, by electrical code and fire code, we have to mount a disconnect within 10 feet of that. But then the rest of those boxes can go they can go inside the house, they can go, tucked around the back side, that back little corner. But like I said, there definitely does have to be a disconnect within 10 feet of that
On your.
existing electrical
So
meter,
that's
correct?
fine.
Yeah.
All we're saying is that we could approve it with with your statement that everything's going to be internal to the property, but if you run into problems and you need to run something else outside, you'd have to come in and amend your proposal
Prior to doing the work.
Why don't we just say inside or not visible from a public way? Because that corner, like I'm saying, you'll never see it.
My suggestion would be is to make something, if it's required by code though. It is
That's required by
Right,
code.
exactly. He's gonna have to put the disconnect there.
But if he's gonna run 10 conduits, 3-inch conduits from the ceiling or from the roof. they
Right,
stick in
only
the
you can say what's required by code, and then the rest of it can go.
I think you're not gonna see it, except for the disconnect, but you can't. Say no to that. It's required. Required.
Any other comments? Okay,
So we're leaving us some-
thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone in the audience like to speak for this application? Anyone in the audience like to speak against this application? HDC 22-52 is closed. It's from
That's the duplicate, throw that one.
HDC 22-53, 17 Gravel Street. Very patient.
Good evening. Good evening. Believe it or not, this is gonna be easy. Yeah, it's really.
State your name, just.
Bill Ritchie, I'm representing, the owner Dan Grace, at 17 Gravel. He was on, is he on? Dan, can you? And also maybe turn on Christopher Notch.
Yeah, I'm here. I'll be listening.
And Chris, there?
Yes, I'm here as well.
Oh, there you go. All right. We had updated the package to this red bar. And I don't know if you have that, if you guys can share, I'll put this one on the screen, but if you need to see something closer. Basically to state it, we were issued back in March 50, I guess it's in March. A certificate of appropriateness for the house and the garage and the accessory dwelling unit at 17 Gravel Street, and there was a lot of angst about changing the house, historic house, and that ultimately led to an appeal to the state historic preservation office, SHPO. And SHPO contacted after public reached out to SHPO. SHPO contacted Mr. Grace about what they basically didn't want is a house torn down, and how could we handle that? And I'll just say quickly, SHPO came down. We talked to them over the phone. They came down with an architect and engineer and some historians. Went through the house, and we had talked them ahead of time as to what they wanted, and basically was to not demolish the house because the proposal for the house. So this amendment, we're basically requesting an amendment, and I'll just read that here. Would be to withdraw all previous drawings related to the demolition and reconstruction of the house in HDC 2210. And as an alternate, we will raise up the main block and the front bays of the existing historic house 3 feet to meet FEMA building code and town requirements, which basically this is what SHPO is
agreed to, recommended. We rebuild the covered front porch, as a little front porch. The two-story, there's a two-story rear additions under raised foundations for the plans. And then construct a new one-story rear addition at the rear of the rear porch addition on the raised foundation. No changes to the previously approved plans for the garage accessory dwelling unit. Now, what I have here also, and maybe you could, is a letter from the Director of SHPO, Mr. Todd Levine, if you want to. And this one's dated August 31st. Is that what you have in the file? Because we have an earlier one. And I'll read this. And basically, this is an agreement or Mr. Levine's letter of acknowledgement that he's looked over these plans. We had review from their architect, what they'd like to do, lots of discussions about what to save and how to save and what to do. And this letter says basically culminates in revision of our drawings, and he agrees with that. But should I read this for the record? Okay. So August 31st, Mr. and Mrs. Dan Gray, 17 Gravel Street, Mr. Connecticut, subject Connecticut Environmental Protection Act, 17 Gravel Street, Groton, Mr. Connecticut. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Grace, thank you for forwarding. Oh, man, that's not what will help people. They're going to, in this letter, he's going to refer to, I believe, to the main block, which is sort of this main part of the house, which sort of is a cape with the two bays and the dormer in the front. Just, it's not normal language, just so, you know, we're all in agreement what that means. Thank you for forwarding the revised drawings of the proposed renovation of 17 Gravel Street. That's basically these rebar drawings. As you are aware, the above referenced property is a contributing resource to the Mystic River Historic District, listed on the National Register on August 24th, 1979, and our 79002728. The State Historic Preservation Review Board affirmed that 17 Gravel Street continued to contribute to the Mystic River National Register of Historic District at the regular scheduled quarterly meeting June 17, 2022. After being contacted by concerned citizens regarding the proposed demolition of 17 Gravel Street in March 2022, our office began an investigation into whether there was community support for SHPO to present the matter to the Historic Preservation Council in order to vote to seek the assistance of the Office of the Attorney General to prevent the unreasonable destruction of the property under the provisions of the Connecticut Environmental Protection Act, CGS 22A-15 to 22A-19A inclusive. A petition, currently 3,741 signatures against demolition, was begun and presented to this office. Additionally, over 2 dozen letters were submitted advocating for preservation of the house. SHPO representatives, accompanied by representatives of SHPO's statutory nonprofit partner, Preservation Connecticut, met with Dan and his architect on May 13th, 2022 to discuss alternatives to demolition. Following a tour of the property, an alternative plan was drafted by David Goshlin of Krosky Architects, retained by Preservation Connecticut. On May 20th, 22, in an effort of good faith, you agreed not to pursue any demolition activities until at earliest July 20th, 2022, while retention of the main structure was negotiated. From July 12th, 2022 to August 29th, 2022, a number of revisions were presented to this office, culminating in the current drawings rebar attached. These revised scope retains the main block of the resource, we're calling the main block, which, you know, in sort of it's sort of that cape piece in there. 25 feet by 35 plus the base, as well as the majority of the character defining features, including projecting front bays, majority of existing fenestration pattern. When he's talking about pattern, he's talking about the pattern in the gable there. and historic windows, cladding, trim, materials, and general relationship to the street. Based on the revised drawings, this office believes that the building is no longer in danger of unreasonable destruction and will therefore not continue to pursue an investigation to bring the matter to the council. As we have reached an agreement prior to the matter being brought to the council, the Office of the Attorney General has declined to intervene at this time. Should the scope of the work change, this office should be contacted immediately for additional consultation. The State Historic Preservation Office appreciates the management of Connecticut's shared cultural resources and is happy to offer technical assistance towards this project as needed. For further information, please contact me at 860-500-2337 or Todd Levine at ct.gov. Sincerely, Todd Levine, Connecticut Environmental Protection Act Liaison, State Historic Preservation Office. So basically, SHPO reviewed this. We went through a lot of negotiation. From a historic, from a historic point of view, what would they need that would keep them happy, and that's what we presented in these drawings. Now, it's best stated. I mean, I'll go through the drawing in some level, but this first page, I'll just show it. I'm going to read through this because basically this is the architect's letter that we agreed to doing these things. When I say it's the architect's letter, Todd Levine, basically their counsel, hired the architect and said, you write the letter, what you should preserve, how we should do it, what we could or couldn't do, why it wouldn't be called a demolition anymore. So when I say the architect's letter, we sort of went through, he said, we ought to do this and this should happen. So we just changed the word to, we agree to do these things. So I'm going to read through this and basically the details of what I'm reading are in these pages, which I'll go through more quickly at the end. But so I know it's a lot of words, but I think it'll make sense. So this is basically an amendment to HDC permit, HDC 22-10, certificate of appropriateness, March 15th, 2022, 17 Gravel District. HDC 2210 has been approved by the Town of Groton Historic District Commission for this property permitting demolition and reconstruction of the existing house to meet FEMA construction and elevation requirements in special high hazard flood areas. Since this building is listed on the National Register of Historic Places, it is protected from demolition by the Connecticut Environmental Protection Act, CEPA. That's basically what Mr. Levine said. Working with Mr. Todd Levine, historian, State Historic Preservation Office, SHPO, the homeowner has agreed not to demolish the existing house, is submitting this amendment for HDC 2210, proposing to save the main block and bay windows of the original house and lift them up 3 feet to set the first floor elevation 1 foot above the 100-year floodplain elevation. SHPO agreed the covered front porch and 2-story rear addition may be rebuilt per owner's plans. SHPO agrees this would no longer be considered a demolition permit. Mr. Levine has provided a letter from his office supporting this approach and all the details enumerated below from this letter. Okay. So now we get down to it. Okay, SHPO has agreed to lifting the main block and the bay windows of the existing house 3 feet. Basically take that up 3 feet. So the elevation will be 1 foot above the existing floodplain. Front yard, SHPO has agreed the previously approved terraced front yard. Agreed to the previous approved terraced front yard. Foundation, SHPO has agreed while the house is lifted, existing granite foundation walls will be removed and replaced with new concrete foundation walls. The granite veneer will be added to the face of above grade foundation walls to replicate the look of the existing granite foundation. Existing bay windows, that's these 2 protrusions. SHPO has agreed to lifting the existing 5-sided bays on the east facade of the main block into retaining/repairing all respective details such as wood panels, trim, brackets, and fascia. Damaged components shall be repaired where possible and or replaced with in-kind materials. Existing window sashes shall be rehabilitated and preserved. New exterior storm windows shall be provided. The existing brick foundation walls below each bay shall be replaced with brick.
Let's stop you 1 second. I just have a question. So, sure. I understand they're advocating for you to rehab the existing windows. I personally wouldn't be opposed to him just replacing it with Marvin windows. Because I think a new window without a storm window on top of it.
We
Are you okay?
presented that to him. And even, you know, we worked on, there's Green Mountain Windows that make wonderful wooden windows up in Vermont, custom is, oh, no, these can be rebuilt. We want this patina, this fabric. So basically they were strong about that and the owner agreed to do it. So we're offering to do it. They asked for it, we're offering to do it. We could come back later, 5 years from now and change. But from our position, it was just best to agree to things that we were.
What kind of storm windows you gonna put on it? Wood?
I have no idea because in a sense, you don't
You don't have
regulate stuff,
jurisdiction
so,
over it now.
It's just too bad you gotta stick up. Aluminum.
Sure, but it says in here though that some of the windows can be.
Oh, yeah, the rest of it.
With metal
The
clad.
windows they want us to keep
Just the
the
front,
sashes
yeah.
are in these and this upper double hung. The rest of the windows, they approve, and then we'll talk about that. They approve metal, extruded metal, wood interior, Marvin type of window.
The ultimate window.
Everything else except these. You know, and if we keep the ripple glass and all that stuff.
Is there anything special about those?
In their eyes, there are.
Yeah, Chappelle basically will always advocate for rebuilding or reconstructing existing windows regardless of their condition.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, in our position, we just, yeah. Sure. The front gable and roof, then the front gable, that'd be just sort of this roof and this gable and this roof section. SHPO has agreed to retaining and repairing as needed the existing front facing roofs and the gable of the main roof of the existing house. Decorative random shingles and square panels above the gable window shall be retained. That was this, there's shingles up here. Damaged components shall be repaired where possible and are replaced with the kind materials. The existing window sashes in the front gable shall be rehabilitated and preserved. That's that window. The new exterior storm window shall be provided. Front door, SHPO has agreed that the existing front door and respective trim shall be retained. Damaged components shall be repaired where possible and are replaced in kind materials. Entry canopy, and you'll see we remember there was a canopy here and it was torn off, but SHPO supports the addition of a newly designed canopy from the front door. So we submitted a new design and you'll see that. South covered front porch, that's this guy here. SHPO has agreed that the covered front porch can be fully rebuilt to match plans, including replacement of existing wood columns, railings, and decking with matching or in-kind materials, which are all wood, so replace it all with wood. The south covered front porch windows and doors got a little confusing here, but from their point of view, there's a French door here. And actually we propose a French door be put on this wall and windows here. But SHPO has agreed to the new east facing French door in the front porch will match an existing French door currently located in the south wall of the house. So basically they're saying that French door could be put there. The current French door in the south wall will be replaced with double hung windows to match existing first floor window sizes. SHPO has agreed to a center chimney may be rebuilt in the main block of the building. We originally had 2 chimneys and they wanted 1 chimney. But so they're basically rebuild the same chimney. Windows, SHPO has agreed to the retention and restoration of the existing 5-sided bay windows and a single double hung window in the front gable in accordance with the National Register nomination. All remaining windows shall be extruded metal exterior with wood interior with divided lights simulated with exterior and interior grills and a spacer between the double facing. Exterior siding and trim. SHPO has agreed that all exterior walls can be stripped for installation of a vapor barrier, installation of siding as a vented assembly, and installation of shear wall structural sheathing over existing wall sheathing. This does not include the base. Replacement siding shall be wood clapboard of a size to match existing siding and wood trim to match existing wood trim. Rear additions and alteration. SHPO supports the proportion, scale, and massing of the proposed design for the rear additions to the main block of the existing house. Interior spaces, SHPO has no concern with the approved plans for the interior spaces. Summary, all of the existing character defining features of the original house will be preserved and restored. These include the bay windows, the front door, the surround street facing windows, the front gable, respective siding details, front roof and ridge, south porch roof line, columns, railing, siding, and trim. The proposed rear additions have been modified to accommodate the elevation of the roof ridge of the existing main block of the house. It would be built as approved by the Town of Groton Historic District Commission in this amended application. So that last line is what I'm saying is basically, I may not, well, there's not a lot written on these. So you see the main block, gonna raise that 3 feet. One thing we've done is you can see the cross, oh, good, okay. We were going to tilt the house a couple of degrees to line it up with the property line, but we thought that might kick off a zoning variance and which they might grant, but it would delay the project, you know, and we want to deal with concrete in the winter and stuff like that. So basically the house will be right over its existing footprint, but 3 feet higher. And then you can see that the rear addition in the gray here really is the same footprint as the previous existing rear addition. The front porch is the same footprint. What we have added, when I talked about a rear addition, there's a rear addition. 1-story addition here and a 1-story porch there. We worked out. Okay, so this was the existing house. This is a view of it 3 feet higher. You can see the porch is pretty much the same, except the roof would be level. Actually, one of the things that the owner came up with, Dan came up with this. This ridge line, I don't know if you can see it, but just by bringing this down, it really helps bring out the old house rather than, you know, cut that out. So we pretty much have the same shapes here. And then rather than just a shed roof up here, we have kind of brought the lever cross level with the shed. That seems to help French doors. So moreover, from the roadside, you can see here, you can see where just bringing that down helped and sort of worked under ridge lines to make that work a little bit. This kind of looks like a box car, and we kind of took the front of one of these bays and put it here. SHPO was, and that really helped the look in a SHPO like that. That was really put there to, you know, kind of break up this look down here. In terms of the north side, is really identical. You know, the house is here. That's the same line here. Since that rear addition is, you know, is set back, that's one column of the porch way in the back. So this north side. So basically, all that you're seeing here is this is all original stuff, pretty much. And actually, there's a shed dormer off here, but it's inset, so you can't even see it. You can see a little tick of the right there. See the shed dormer. So I'm saying here's the shed dormer, and this rear addition is pushed in. So on that side, you don't see it. And really, surprisingly enough, you know, that roof there, this is pretty much that roof there. But, you know, we're putting the eave on, makes it look a little better. Elevations, pretty much same as the existing house. So we just go down through here. If this had said boro, whatever, it says wood. Probably main siding notes are clapboards wood casings are wood. This previously that had been boro. The windows are low-end windows now because so you can order Eagle, but maybe not get them for 2 years. So low end windows, these are metal, extruded metal, you know, with the bars. I don't know if you can see it. Here's the little bracket with the canopy. That's the piece that we added. So the new front door canopy. I don't know if you can, oh. You know, there's sort of the canopy, and it's, you see there's no canopy there, so let's just bring that in. The columns will all be wood, the railings are all wood. Nothing changed here, the stone veneer. And the floor plans for that. So this is the original house. This will be partly raised up. Initially, you know, we'll basically tear this down, raise this up, get it established, and then rebuild this over the foundations. That's it.
We move the house backwards to put in the new foundation.
Yeah, probably. That sort of process. I mean, as far as we know, that's what we're doing. Yeah. Any questions?
Questions for the applicant?
And actually, the owner, you know, he's, you know, I like it. You know, he's happy, and he was just been incredible of not confronting, you know, realizing, okay, what are we going to do? And as a matter of fact, even after the first meeting, we did a lot of studies. Oh, what if we don't have those two side dormers on there? You know, what if we return back to the original? You know, so he was looking to how do you placate the neighbors and what do we do? But there was just no fighting Dave Collins in the newspaper. That was crazy. You know, it's like, how do you get a petition of 3,400 people when there's only 470 houses in the historic district? It's just, but whatever, you know, we're really happy with, you know, with where we are here.
Bonnie, do you have any comments?
No.
Right.
So this is an application for amendment to the existing certificate of appropriateness. Is that so I appropriately or properly asked for that? Okay.
Thank you. Would anyone in the audience like to speak for this application? Would anyone in the audience like to speak against this application? HDC 22-53 is closed. Thank you.
He's back. Oh, okay, great. So just make sure you have Rev.R in the August.
Yep,
I got it right here.
Because we had an earlier version of for zoning, we changed the footprint.
So this one is HGC 22-50. I was waiting to get to the bottom of the pile on this one because they didn't show, but I still don't see anybody. So I'm going to move to continue HGC 22-50. All in favor, Levinson.
Aye.
Grady.
Aye.
Moriarty, aye. Goodman.
Aye.
Dahl.
Aye.
This application is continued. All right. Do you care, Todd, if I?
Go ahead.
Is this all the ones that we have?
Maybe I lose my count.
Sorry. It's not stable.
Gonna make a request to the commission when they start doing votes on these moving forward, if they can state for the record why they are in favor of it, why they're not in favor of it.
We only had a state when we weren't in favor of it.
Should be for both. In harmony with the regulations or whatever reasoning you're coming up with why you're going with it. Support of it. This makes it easier for staff to deal with these on the road on public.
Right. HGC 22-49, 245 High Street, Leslie and owner, Samarin Shareth's applicant. This was the solar. Comments or motions?
To approve.
Second. We want to see what solar.
You can just say that the guideline here, and that what they submitted was.
That's a hard one, is it?
Was in symmetry with what is required for solar.
Does each applicant have to state a reason, or can it just be someone summarizing it?
they could agree with whatever, but one enjoys what the other one said, then yeah, sure, they could all just say it over and over again.
If we also say it's consistent with state regulations.
Alright. All in favor?
That's a continuum.
Aye,
Yeah.
because I think it's consistent with state regulations and prior actions of this commission.
Ready?
Aye, for the reasons alleged by Don.
I am abstaining as both the applicant and the homeowner are clients.
And I would just say that I think it's good that they're putting the pieces and what they can inside.
No,
It's consistent with state policy.
I have to figure out how to do this. The application is approved.
So one.
HDC 22-51, 3 Pearl Street. This was the addition of the front and rear decks. Any motions or comments? I move to approve.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Moriarty, I move to approve this application. I think that it's an improvement from the original application and the materials that they used and is more conforming to the community. Levins,
I agree to approve it for the reasons stated by our
great.
illustrious chairman.
I move to approve, and I'm pleased that the applicant has changed their plans to make it more in accord with the Mystic neighborhood.
I agree, and I agree with what you're saying.
Oh,
I approve. I think it'll be fine.
all right. HCC 22-52, 9 West Mystic Ave, Peter Edwards, owner, Vision Solar applicant. This was the second solar application that we have tonight. Comments or motions? I will second. All in favor? Moriarty, it's a solar application that conforms to the statutes and regulations. Levins,
I move to approve, well, I agree to approve for the same reasons.
reading.
I vote to approve for the same reasons as Mr. Levinson.
No,
I vote to approve, same reasons that Sarah stated.
the application is approved. 22-53, 17 Gravel Street. This was the amendment to the previously existing application in accordance with the SHPO recommendations. Comments or motions?
I'll
Second.
second it.
All in favor? Moriarty, aye. It appears to be in support of our state historic preservation guidelines, and they've already approved it. I'm not quite sure what else there is to say on that.
Lost count.
Um,
414.
Levinson,
I also agree to approve it for the reasons stated.
Brady,
I move to approve for the previous reasons stated.
Agree.
no,
Approved, agree with the reasons stated.
application is approved. Public hearings are closed.
Gentlemen's been very patient here.
Come on.
And worse than that.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Hi, everybody.
I'm sorry, it's past 9:30. We're out of time.
Negative meetings in 2 weeks. My name is Peter. My sister is online, Lana Citarella. We were here last month. When we own 8 Ice House Lane. The house up there. Showed you a picture before we bought the plans. Here's the plans.
It's a vacant lot right now.
It's a vacant lot, yeah. This is what we want to put up.
So I think when you came for the original prelim, everybody was pretty supportive of the design. So I think, are you looking to us as to what are the next steps that you need to do?
Yeah, we want to go and get a permit from the town, start building.
So you would need to submit for a formal application.
Okay.
And with it, you would bring your plans. I don't know if you have anything smaller. GIS map, pictures of the surrounding, photographs of surrounding houses. You're in a really unique location because half your street's in the HTC and half
Yeah.
your street isn't.
This match is perfect with everything else in there.
So just take photos of those, materials list, which I'm sure is in those plans. Am I missing anything? So I can't read
So
upside down. GIS map,
formal
don't
app,
forget a
I got
GIS. map.
photos of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Materials list, anything else? GIS, what is that?
It's the location map. So it shows where your lot is in the town of Mystic.
You can get that online.
I have to say Google Groton GIS.
We already have it. Anything else?
It's a new construction, it's just be overly detailed with the materials.
You're gonna put a driveway in, show us where the driveway is going.
It's gonna be made out of the driveway. Width, obviously, width of the driveway.
Every element point to it.
And remember, you wanted to put your patio facing the street, so that's gonna be seen from a public
This
way,
house is gonna face the cul-de-sac.
right? But the patio is gonna face
Plot
the London
plan.
Road, right? You said last time?
Yeah, so I'll have a plot plan made up facing the cul-de-sac. Not doing anything to the back of the house. There's already a patio on the back of this house, so we're just gonna leave it like that.
I'm not familiar with the lot. I vaguely remember your initial, but is it seen from two streets?
Yeah, so.
Route 1 and.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
It's right on New London Road.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so I mean, just take that into consideration because what is
Yes.
under our jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Is what is seen from-
The back of the house will be seen from the New London Road.
You wanna give us that too, then? Anything we can see from any road, we have to be able to see.
You know, all the windows on the doors, they are.
It's a patio material.
Patio.
Anything seen by Joe and Joanne that is driving down a road.
Or walking,
A public road, that they can see.
I think the designs, I think it fits with the neighborhood.
I love the
A
design.
lot of little research on it. I think this is the perfect thing for over there. No, Cedar shakes though, we're not doing.
What's that? Is that a sidewalk there, the shiny thing? in the
Yeah, that's
front?
just water on a sidewalk, I guess, and driveway.
We're shooting a movie, so they wet everything.
Okay.
They make it look better. That's why they charge 2,000 for the plan.
We got a water meter, so they tell you that.
It's called Fribble.
Doesn't the town have to put the sidewalks in, not the owner?
There's already a sidewalk in.
Oh,
Are you gonna spray it down with water from Wilson too?
So when I do this, I mean, do I draw it like what it's gonna look like from the back? Like put the street in there and then so you can see what you're going to see from the back of the house? That's my concern.
I don't think renderings, if that's what you're asking, were necessary, but there should be elevations of all sides.
Everything's in.
So I would just make sure that all the specific items are called out, so that there's no question as to like.
the windows, the light fixtures, the door,
Yeah, everything that's gonna be in this house is on this plan right here. This is exactly how we're going.
Like specifically the windows, if you want to know what type,
Oh, you wanna know what type of
what
windows?
type of door, what type of garage door, what, I mean, so much as even like what kind of cedar shake.
No problem. I get the gist of what you're saying.
more detail than less is better.
You present it, we approve it. Move on with your life. If you miss it, we don't approve it, and a neighbor flips out.
Yeah, I get it. I've been talking to all the neighbors up there. We're already friendly with everybody. We're just trying to plan. So do everything we can.
What's the patio that you talked about?
Oh, there's a little patio on the back of the house and it's gonna face the street. You're gonna be able to see it from the street. Of course, we're gonna, and down the road, we're gonna put up a little stone wall and some bushes in front of the street because it's noisy. You know, so that's the only downfall. We'll have to put in some shrubbery or something to kind of echo the noise away or whatever. But there's already a patio on the back of the house, so. Anything else I need to know? What about all the lighting and everything? You want names of the lighting and
So
outside lighting?
we need to know, we don't necessarily need the names of lighting, we need to know what the lighting looks like. So if it's not gonna look like that, then you've got to bring a picture of what it's
So
gonna.
any changes you need pictures.
What it's made out of.
That's the question, all right. I got it.
Yeah.
One concern I have is the driveway is gonna cross in front of the house. It's gonna cross the front of the yard because this garage is gonna be on the graveyard side of this lot. It's okay that the driveway is gonna cross the front, like a half moon type of thing. There's a driveway already cut into the street. All right, so we're gonna leave that there.
Curb cut.
We're gonna run gravel up to the garage, but the driveway is actually gonna cross the front of the house.
So is it gonna have another exit onto the
No.
street?
No,
How wide
just
is the
asking.
driveway?
it's just gonna be a normal width driveway, 8 feet.
So if
It's not gonna be 19.
If it's under 11, then we don't have jurisdiction.
Yeah, that's
over
what
it.
I
You can put it
figured.
anywhere.
We're not here to cause problems. I just
That's so
want to
you
do
can-
everything the way you guys want.
That's so you can park your Mercedes right in front of the front door?
I don't own a Mercedes, sir. I don't own a Mercedes. But the driveway is going to cross the house because we want this part of the house towards the graveyard, not on New London Road. Because we want to face the cul-de-sac. We're gonna face Alfie's house in the next house. We're gonna angle it. And I guess there's a house going up right next door because they already cleared that lot. I know the guy wanted to build in August, and I was just over there. There was a machine in there, so that must be going up too. So I don't know how that house is gonna face.
It's facing the cul-de-sac also.
I would imagine. Yeah, so we're gonna just stay in line with that. But maybe on more of an angle, because I don't want to look at the back of his house. So we'll look at the street instead of the back of his house. Okay. Because we have to be 15 feet from the property lines, right? Any building has to be 15 feet, right?
That's a zoning issue.
And they'll take care of that next door, right? When I go for a permit, you'll tell me where I need to do
You
all
submit
that.
the site plan.
Yeah, but I'm just concerned about the driveway because we're gonna have to like move it back just enough to get it going across the front of the wall. Yeah, it's just a house. I know the driveway can go right up close.
So just so I understand, with regard to this driveway, the curb cut is going to be over in front of the garage, or it's gonna be?
No,
over
the
to
curb
it's gonna
cut's
be over to
gonna
the
be,
right,
the curb cut is gonna be like right in here.
and then you're gonna pull in there and come across the front of the
Yeah,
house.
we're gonna go across.
You have to put in a new curb cut?
No,
Oh, it works with this,
it
right?
works, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's just more. We're just gonna leave everything the way it is, but like I said, this has to be on this side. When you're facing. So it faces the cul-de-sac. So this will be up against the graveyard wall.
Oh, you don't want to, I see what you're saying. You
Yeah,
don't want to
right.
stop the driveway, so you're coming straight.
Exactly.
You want to do this.
Yeah, kind of. It'll just be a gravel driveway. Some green grass, that's it. So we'll do the application now. Where do I come in when they're open and pick up the little application, just fill it out?
Hospitality.
And then we just turn it back in. And then when we come to the next meeting, that's already in your blocks. Right.
Do it tomorrow.
And we get called maybe first instead of last. Okay. All right, everybody. Have a
But
good night.
maybe not likely with all the continuance.
Listen, I got more patience than all of yous put together.
You're not, you're still here.
You gotta submit all that.
This is a
information.
4-year dream come true. We'll wait. We have to.
Again, to what Eric just said, that if you go in tomorrow and fill it out, you're more likely to get on.
It's okay. It doesn't matter. It's just a trouble. We'll get it in there and we'll see you what is it, the third week this month?
First
You write
Tuesday.
this down.
First and third Tuesday.
But if you're going for approval, you have to talk to Tommy, have to have all your exhibits. In addition,
I'll have everything done.
before, I mean, in time for him to.
Right, or that's
Right.
going to the public.
Oh, so I gotta go,
You submit it all when you come up with the application.
So
There's a nice little instruction sheet that comes with your application, so as long as you read that and follow.
I'll get
those
it,
instructions.
I'll come in and get all that and then I'll turn it all in. Now, how much time before this meeting do I have to have that turned in?
Thursday.
By Thursday of the, so if I do it on Thursday in the meetings over the weekend, then on Tuesday, that's enough time?
This Thursday.
Oh, it's gotta be in by this
That's what I was
Thursday.
trying to
Oh,
say. You come in tomorrow, which is Wednesday.
I gotta move.
You got, you get it in for Thursday.
Unless you want to put
The
it out.
application is very simple. You don't need everything we just said. You just need to fill out the application.
I just have to
statement.
fill out the
It
application.
says new construction.
That's it.
That's it.
We need
And
all the
then-
documentation.
He's gotta get all the documents in by Thursday. too.
Does?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I could get them in a little later.
Well, I
than
thought
that.
we're off that goal.
Yeah. Gotta have all the documentation, you can submit extra.
Both of it has to be in by Thursday.
We'll submit a copy of the plan, then added the detail sheet later.
You can get a chance to come in tomorrow.
To Tom.
Yeah.
I think there might be. Yeah. Because otherwise, I'm never gonna make this.
No, get the,
Come tomorrow with everything in your.
Everything you got, take a look at it, make sure. You'll get the GIS map, get all that information. You can take a look at it, see if you're missing anything.
Okay, some of this stuff is in Long Island right now that we're talking about. So, Lana, are you listening?
do you have those plans in PDF?
Yeah.
So I would print the plans out here. Do the plans.
That's what I did with these.
Yeah, they're small, so I think. Print the small plans out, the application, GIS map, any photos you can take tomorrow around the area.
If not,
Deal with the finishes while you're.
if not, then the next meeting is in what, October,
For the first Tuesday of October.
first Tuesday? Okay, all right, thank you, everybody.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Take care.
All right, I'm gonna go kind of fast through this. Public communications, we have a letter from Mr. Bainsley asking for a response to the original letter that he had sent on June 15th. So I know that Eric's drafted up some of the comments from that meeting. He's gonna type them. I'm gonna circulate them to you guys. You can reply to me if you were at the meeting, if there's anything additional to add, and then we can give him a
These
formal
are the,
response.
didn't I send an email? Didn't I make comments?
Yes, it wasn't helpful because your comment was have them watch the meeting.
I was gonna say the
One of
same
my
thing,
comments.
so I'm
One
with
of
you
my
on that
comments.
one.
I watched the meeting.
It is filmed for a reason.
So what was up? Meeting,
So,
Or 70 or 47 minutes and 16 seconds.
so Eric will type it. I'll send it to whoever was there. Let me know if you all agree or have anything additional to add. Any other public communications?
I got another email from Miss Katsini's wondering what's going on.
Yes.
This is
So
fence.
Yes.
I actually spoke to Rich Cody today. I'm supposed to talk with Tom, and circulate an email for Rich, Tom and I to talk to see if there's a possible solution. That meets everybody's needs.
There are, I don't know. Sorry, it's lawyer.
Well,
I'm tired too.
it's easier to report when you have information, because
No, skipping the fence. I'm just curious. There's a bunch of like little things that have been brought up that I've never really like flushed out. I'm just curious, like what, like there's the fence on Pearl Street, that vinyl one in front of the stucco house. That was never approved, and I don't know whatever happened to it. Stone steps that got ripped off the front of Orium. Is that okay or not? No.
But that was okay because.
So I shot that email off to Tom saying, what the heck happened with the stone steps?
Yeah.
And he said he was gonna go down there and told me that we were gonna be seeing an application soon because that was not okay. So, I mean, my belief is all these little things are still in the background, not approved, and that they're working through them. Because
Yeah.
the stone steps were definitely not okay.
Yeah, I don't think you could remove those.
No.
Does the Emporium?
Well, Whatever it is now.
Port of call.
That's all I have to dive down below and
I mean, I first told you guys over and over again about the work that we did, that we're not left.
Well, that's got a cease and desist on that part. It's got issues. This is general.
Full disclosure, we were doing the work there and he kept having us do work that wasn't approved. We finally quit. So we're not doing it. For several reasons. but one of them-
You still gotta give me paperwork on it.
Approval of minutes from August 2nd, 2022.
I move to approve.
Second, all in favor, Levinson,
Aye.
Brady,
Aye.
Moriarty, aye, Goodman.
Aye.
Nault.
Approved.
The minutes are approved. Old business, I think we already talked about old business.
Some one other comment, then I'm not, I promise. Just relative to the Mariner thing. I just think we should strongly consider over the next 2 weeks before they come back, the comments of all the abutting property.
I agree.
While we have our own opinions, I agree that we're supposed to be stewarding the community and the community spoke. I just think we should think about that.
Right, but I also think that the vast majority of those opinions were zoning issues, not HDC.
Public safety issues.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of comments that had nothing to do with us.
But everyone consistently said that they didn't like the open air aspect.
And I forget the gentleman's name, the guy that has a building across the street. I mean, he was on the same page as me, and I was not gonna tie us. Yeah, I was gonna tie us all down with 48 pages, but he's right. It's not consistent with our manual. Like, we can get more in depth if we need to, but
My vice president of the Standard HOA Association called because someone called them about an hour before the meeting. Wanted to know if I was going to object to it, but I can't really. They're going to be adding their own stuff on behalf of Standards HOA next week.
As someone who formerly worked at the Mystic Museum of Art and dealt with the parking issues and served on the Groton Parking Commission, some of the parking issues were, I have very strong opinions about because some of the people in Steamboat Wharf, that lady talked about how she doesn't park in her garage. And so she parks on that brick. Remember she said that.
That is her parking space.
Right. But I think there's been, I'm just saying that like the parking issues have been both, have not been helped by all of what Steamboat Wharf has done with their property.
I think we also, as members, back to Rich Cody's comments about conflicts and everything, just need to be cautious because you're on the board of the Art Association that benefits from increased parking revenue. Represent Leo benefits from their lack of parking. Just can see this spiraling into another.
But I don't think that the HDC should make any decision based on parking issues,
Correct.
period.
That's
I
exactly my
totally
point.
agree. Or noise.
That's exactly my point. It's like those were not supportive arguments in our jurisdiction.
I think a suggestion would be is if that comes up again in a public hearing, is to make a point at the beginning to keep them on track with only what is relative to HTC, not with planning and zoning.
I'm just saying they were already grumbling about conflicts. I'm just saying, I think that there are conflicts.
Right, no, but I'm just saying in general, just to, so there's not the confusion at the meeting to separate what you guys are here for versus when they're getting into planning and
The
zoning.
number of dumpsters.
The dumpsters,
Yeah. Parking,
And the noise.
the noise,
Yeah.
those are not.
This is not for this board really to be spending time on. It's important items, but it's just not for this board.
What was the minutes that we approved? I'm sorry.
August 2nd,
Oh, okay.
new business. Adjourned.
It wasn't our second meeting in August, because it wasn't. Someone asked me that question.
You can keep that as your own.
Yeah.